conference will now be recorded.
Thank you. It looks like you're. All right, we'll call this meeting. Hello, we'll call this meeting to order. Hello.
Form of the committee is going to make some recommendation in January. That's all I was going to say. Unless you can do that, that would be great. Yeah, I'll do that.
Okay, it'll work now.
Check. All right, everybody, we'll call this meeting to order. 9:01 a.m. Roll call, please.
Mike Laurie.
Here.
Jeff Hildreth.
Here.
Kristen Sanders.
Here.
Beth Bonheim. Absent. Bishop Sheen. Here.
Please join me in the pledge, please.
Allegiance to the flag of the United States of America, to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Balance out the way. All right, we'll get started with public comment. Anybody, everything that's not on the agenda they'd like to make any comments on? No. Okay, we'll move on. Consent calendar. Anyone have anything they want to remove from the consent calendar for discussion later? No.
No.
No? Okay, can I get a motion to approve the minutes and the bills for October?
I'll make a motion to approve the consent calendar as presented.
I'll second that motion.
Roll call.
Jeff Hildreth.
Aye.
Bishop Sheen.
Aye.
Kristen Sanders.
Aye.
Mike Laurie.
Aye.
Beth Bonheim. Absent.
Motion carries. All right, we have nothing pulled from the consent calendar. We'll move on to correspondence discussion items. Number 1.
Yes. Yes, first item is Humboldt County correspondence, and I do see that Lieutenant Joshua McCall is online. Lieutenant, would you like to present a report? We can't seem to hear you. He left, and I guess he'll be back. I saw his right video, but his audio doesn't seem to be working. We'll stand by. Maybe we'll come back. Oh, okay. We'll just give him half a minute here. Until he comes back. All right, Lieutenant McCall, can you hear us? I saw your video, but I see your video now, but for some reason your audio isn't. See. Your microphone is not muted. No. Yeah, you can probably hear me. I can see that your microphone is not muted, but it's for some reason I can't hear anything. Try something. Okay, can you? I'll mute her.
Left it on.
Yeah.
It will turn green on the mic if it's working.
Minute.
Okay. back, but no audio. No? Yeah. If you can come back, we'll come back to you, I guess, and we'll move on to the next item then. All right, thanks, thank you. That's it for Humboldt
Okay.
County correspondence.
Okay, we'll move on. Parks and Rec Committee report.
Pretty short and sweet for you guys today. So our last meeting, we created our subcommittees with our new members, which was pretty much half the committee. So we just had our first meeting, this last month, and with January, we're off because of the holiday. We'll have our first.
Cool.
Is there feedback on this? Okay. Just to add as well, we did form a budget subcommittee for Parks and Rec. However, after doing so, it was brought to my attention that we might have overstepped on that. So we're going to be reassessing that subcommittee. And the intention behind it was to look at our Parks and Rec budget and really see where the money is going. But that should probably be being done by the district board and the actual budget committee of the district board. So we're going to look into that and see if it's proper or if there's a way for the board as a whole to instruct this committee to do so that we don't overstep.
Okay. I think that a recommendation from the subcommittee for the board for us to address and discuss, I think is acceptable.
Yeah.
Personally, but, yeah. Anyone got any public comments about this topic? Oh, sorry. Public comment? Oh. Go back to Humboldt County or no?
He put something in the chat. He just said, sorry, apparently having some mic issue on my end. Hear you, but apparently not working on my end.
Okay.
But he's back. I see you're muted now. Try unmuting yourself, Lieutenant McCall, and. Oh,
Anything now?
yes, we can hear you now.
All right. Apparently, if you log out and log back in once, it doesn't work. Just try it 2 or 3 more times.
Thank you.
Yeah. So good morning. Sorry about that technical difficulty there. Not sure what happened with that. And with that, I lost my stats that I had pulled up. There we go. So yeah, looking at the stats for the Shelter Cove area for the last month being the period of the middle of October through middle of November, the 15th to the 15th, calls for service were up slightly from the previous month period, the September 15 to October 15 period, by about 9 calls, it looks like. With that, looking at the stats, it appears that that increase in calls is not necessarily attributed to any particular trend or increase in any particular type of reported crime or issue. It looks like a lot of those, a good source of that number of that increase of calls when compared to the types of calls and the numbers from last month is probably due to outside agency referrals to us, things like CWS referrals, where it went up a little bit. With that, we had 9 public assists, 9 transfers to other agencies, so things like transfers to fire or CHP or medical, 7 dispatch reports being things that aren't necessarily a deputy response, just somebody requested like a CAD documentation, 7 follow-up calls, and then 6 cross-report referrals, 6 patrol checks, and 5 welfare checks. Tallying all those up, that accounts for about 50 of those 75 calls for the month. So that's where the bulk of that call for service for that month period lies. Getting beyond that, looking at the rest of the numbers here, I mean, we had 1 burglary reported, 1 fraud, 1 petty theft. Again, nothing that stands out as any kind of an increase in any property crime or other crime category with that. So nothing I'm seeing from stats that's showing any real concern with that slight increase in calls or it's something that necessarily needs to be focused on in relation to that. Generally speaking, looks like weekdays were the busier day of the week, and as was on par with much of the rest of the county. And obviously, that kind of comes and goes and changes here and there. But the weekdays, and then usually that late morning to early mid afternoon, evening, being the busier time of the day. And that's what I have for that.
Thank you. Any more questions?
The board have any questions first, Mr. McCall, prior to going to the public? No? Okay, Mr. Reed.
Thank you, Arden Reed. I'm concerned about the local resident that ran over a couple of police officers and then was released and went and threatened their neighbors. And I kind of want to understand more why he was released after running down police officers, and anything you could tell me about that story.
Well, I mean, I can definitely say it would be fair to say that our office would probably not be thrilled about that either, given the assault on the officers, the deputies that occurred. As far as the release itself, I can't answer. I can't speak to that. That is between factors like the courts and the district, more so in the courts case than that. So I don't have the specifics on that one either way. But again, it's definitely generally something that's out of our hands. In this case, he was taken into custody eventually regarding that incident. As far as that. So yeah, I can't speak to his release or what the determination by the courts was that led to them feeling that was appropriate.
Anybody else? Nope.
All right, thank you.
Thank you.
All right, moving on. First quarter budget review for 25-26. Chris.
Yes, so the attached first quarter fiscal year 2025-26 budget reflects actual revenues and expenses for all departments from July 1st, 2025 through September 30th. Some items of note in the report include, under the income category, the county has not delivered the first installment of property taxes, which typically arrive in December or January. Thus, the operational income amount is low. There have been more electrical line extension requests than average, reflected in the greater amount collected than budgeted on that one. And under expenses, some budget line items are paid only once per year, such as workers' comp insurance and the PERS unfunded accrued liability. So these line items are completed. Other expense line items have been completed due to early fiscal year one-time purchasing, such as generator radiator replacement, well site improvements in kind, transformer replacement, and board travel. Some expense line items have already nearly maxed out, including airport maintenance and community center improvements. The unbudgeted capital expense for airport striping was added, which was approved by the board in September. Now, go ahead and share my screen. So under reserves, I guess it's pretty small.
No problem.
The level of operational budget reserves has declined since the beginning of the fiscal year, mainly due to previously mentioned one-time fiscal year expenditures and the lack of any property tax revenue to date. So you can see that the following table and graph, which compares the level of operational reserves from the beginning of the fiscal year to the end of the first quarter. Please note that these numbers reflect only operational expenses. They do not include grant funds, capital expenses, and any other funds such as pension funds or renter deposits. This provides a more accurate depiction of actual operational expenses and reserves. So I can just show you the graph here. So generally in the past, I believe that we have not presented a first quarter budget report based on these facts. That it just looks like we've hemorrhaged our funds, but that's just because we haven't received any funds yet from the county. So generally, we usually wait till the second quarter to show a budget report for the fiscal year, but decided to go ahead and do it. So we'll go ahead and stop. Any questions on the first quarter budget?
Nothing for me as of yet. That's a lot to digest.
Yeah.
I just wanted to know, I know you guys are looking for new options for health insurance. I was
Yes.
just wondering how that was going and if that's kind of like a priority for the next few months to get some.
Yes, we've reached out to at least 2 other health insurance providers, and we're working with staff to determine our approach on that. It'll definitely be a subject going into next year. But yeah, health insurance costs are very high. Staff. For this,
What's your projected revenue from the county?
the tax,
Yeah.
well, annually, we're looking at 525,000 for the state property tax revenue. And then on top of that, there's the direct charges of the fire tax and special utilities tax.
Yeah, but the fire tax goes directly to the fire department, I'm
Yes.
assuming, right? So we're still gonna be pretty low on our reserves even when we get the money for the year.
We're still below in reserves.
Once we get the property taxes, are we still gonna be low on our reserves?
Probably lower than what, in 6 months? Probably
Yeah.
lower than 6 months.
Okay, so that was one, not lowering the reserve.
Yeah.
We lowered the reserve and now we're not even making that reserve level. It's kind of scary.
Tristan?
No, nothing else.
I'll provide an update, next quarter report on reserves and keep you updated on that, definitely.
Please.
I appreciate doing the first quarter. I know it's not encouraging, but we do appreciate that. And no, I've had all my questions answered at the meeting with Chris.
Okay. Okay, we'll go to public comments about this. Yeah. All right, move on. Correspondence discussion item number 4, district strategic planning, electric department. Is that you, Chris, or is that?
Yeah, I can present that. So it's been a while since we looked at our strategic plan. Just a reminder, each department within the district is developing its own draft strategic plan. These individual plans define the responsibilities of each department, including its role and its ultimate goals for the future. When combined, these individual draft plans will form a blueprint for the entire district strategic plan. So the focus of this discussion item is the electric department, which is presented here for the first time. Worked with staff to develop it and work with the draft, so there's room for improvement. So any suggestions or questions on what's presented?
Well, for me, it looks like you did start.
Chris, when do you plan on having the timelines?
I know when I presented the water wastewater one, it was more like midterm or like short-term, midterm, long-term goals versus like, and then when I did the administration department, I did like actual months and years. So it's kind of been developing differently. I guess I can do a second draft on the next board meeting with timelines.
Well, I think I'd like to see it just because it's like install solar panels plus a possible battery backup system.
Yeah,
Is that
that would be more like a long-term.
exactly? But that's what I'm saying. I'd love to, again, back to the finances and being able to afford it, but I would love to at least have an idea of what the time frame would be.
Yeah, okay.
Yeah, I'd like to see a time. Oh, sorry, Mike, go ahead. Yeah, I'd be curious to see a timeline on for maintaining competitive rates for customers. I know a lot of businesses have been telling me that the rates are very impactful to their monthly operations, especially going into these winter months. So I would like to know where that falls on the timeline. I feel like that's pretty inexpensive, that we could, figure out something. Also, I don't think we need another rate study. But yeah, and then also solar power, and then maybe somehow encouraging people who, that one neighborhood, I would still be interested to see if there was some sort of way we could get them on the grid, and, make some sort of deal to get them as customers. I mean, since they're in the cove and, that's it.
I did meet with you, Chris, about some of the concerns I had, but as far as going to maintaining the competitive rates, at this point, I think, when was the last time we did the rate study? About
2019, yeah,
it was
2019.
All right. So I'd like to see, when we're looking at the rate structures, that we're doing it as a whole, not just for one certain subgroup. And then, so reassessing maybe the rates in general, not just for commercial, is what I would like to see. And then more, I guess this falls under, this would probably with improved system technology, working with engineers for alternatives analysis and feasibility studies with focus on sustainable energy solutions. I guess that would go with the grid intertie. I know that we don't have the capability for that, but I think that we need to figure some things out on that side. We're one of the few places that is still receiving a variance for not allowing grid intertie. It doesn't mean buying power back, but looking at the big picture and seeing how we can lower everybody's bills and at the same time produce green energy, and making sure that we are being competitive on that. Because it could be a matter of time before the state decides that we don't get that variance, if we're not. And so we need to be ready for that. And that's it for me.
That's it. Anybody else? No? All right, let's go to public comment. Public comment on the district strategic planning and electric department. Mr. Reed.
I said it before, that all the places that already owns, they need to have solar panels installed on them to bring the power down so that we're not in a higher tier, so it does bring down the auto bills. So that would really help. And before you get the solar powers on there, do the pumping at off-peak hours and try to save as much electricity to keep us out of that cost.
Thank you. Anybody else? All right, that being said, we'll move on. Discussion item number 5, consider temporary library affiliated food pantry at the community clubhouse.
All right, yeah. I'll provide a report. I have a slideshow I can have going when going over this. We'll go ahead and share again. Okay, so some background. Head librarian of the Shelter Cove Library, Cynthia Eden, is proposing a food pantry at the community clubhouse called the Stone Soup Pantry. She would like to use a small section of the unused space behind the bathroom hallway on the lower level of the clubhouse in a former meeting room to store donated, non-perishable food items. She would also like to use the existing unused refrigerator freezer there. So you can see in the slideshow that room with the refrigerators. Distributions of the food items would take place for 2 to 3 hours at a time, once or twice a month, and always during normal RID working hours. Access to the food storage space would be limited to volunteers. Only one recipient at a time would be allowed in the hallway to pick up their food items, entering through the library. So following is an excerpt from an email from Cynthia regarding this topic. She says, this all volunteer effort already serves Shelter Cove residents through a monthly pickup in Redway from the county's food bank, Food for People. The effort is currently organized utilizing volunteers' homes Since July, the number of households served has grown from 10 to 15, now reaching about 25 people of all ages from toddlers to seniors. Recent distributions have included fresh produce, dairy, and shelf-stable goods. Donations are accepted at the library during open hours with special drives like New Socks for the Soul, along with community partnerships such as Mimo Chima's November Diner Discount. And I'm going to pause this. And then go to this slide here. So allowing this function in this space would be temporary and contingent upon board approval and any potential future building remodeling. Also, for security purposes, the locks between this space and neighboring spaces may need to be changed to protect other organizations' storage items, including CERT, Code Connect, and RID itself. In the meantime, RID staff can facilitate access for library volunteers until the locks are changed. And you can see the room here. There's a door on the left, door on the right. They access other storage spaces. Recommendation is to consider approval of the temporary library affiliated food pantry and direct staff to work on establishing space for it in the lower room of the community clubhouse, including creating an agreement with the volunteers on this also. And I did want to add on, I'll go ahead and stop sharing. I did want to add on one topic that's been discussed as far as workers' comp liability. The board did pass a resolution in 2021-2108, which provides workers' compensation coverage to authorized agency volunteers, which specifically apply to the library. If there's any questions on that?
I have a question.
Yeah.
My memory's a little fuzzy, but I thought when Michael Schaff was in there doing that there was some issues about insurance, and that's what he seemed very stressed about, the insurance or something that was required. Will there be insurance required for this project? Or liability? No.
I think the issue there was he was not part, or KSO was not part of the library. It was a separate organization.
So no insurance would be required, it would be covered.
It would be covered by our GSRMA workers' comp.
Okay. One question I have.
I'd like to hear from Cynthia Eden on what the operations are going to look like.
That's a great idea. Cynthia, please.
Good morning.
Good morning.
Thank you, Chris. Is the microphone on, please? Yeah. Good thing my eyes are working today. So I help coordinate the Stone Soup food distribution collection that we've been doing since July. And it is a volunteer-run effort, and what it's doing is strengthening our community's resilience by collecting donations and distributing food to residents. So Chris mentioned about us working with Food for People. On the second Tuesday of each month, Food for People, which is the county food bank, delivers food to Redway, and then residents can go and pick up food once a month. It's pretty much not serviced to Cove residents because people can't afford to get out there with gas. So since July, we've been going, volunteers have been going and picking up the food and then distributing it on that second Tuesday, basically from our homes, which is not ideal. There might be a question about, whether or not there is really a need, and the need is real here. As Chris mentioned, we've grown our numbers from 10 households to 15. We just did a second distribution this month with the help of Chima, and reached another 20 people, adding more people to who we have been distributing to, so that the word is, getting out to the community that anyone in need can participate. And the response from the community has been wonderful. People want to help their neighbors with extra non-perishables or whatever they They have sometimes, like we were doing the sock drive as well. Across the county, just as a statistic, 14% of Humboldt households face food insecurity, including 1 in 5 children. So, and that's really across the nation as well. You may have already heard about that statistic, and we're not exempt from that out here. Rural areas like ours actually cope with higher food and gas prices, making it more difficult for people to feed their families. So neighbor-to-neighbor support matters. And our process is really simple. We collect donations, we identify households in need, and we distribute the food. That's all we're trying to do. Our request is for a small, secure storage area that's currently unused, with permission to distribute once or twice a month, as Chris said, during regular RID hours when the library is open. It might be of interest that public agencies, including schools and libraries, are increasingly being used for food donation and distribution. The Garberville Public Library heard about what we're doing, and they've actually opened up space at the public library for donation. It's also a point of connection for neighbors. As an example, when we were at Mimachima on Tuesday distributing, we were giving out information about the clinic, the mobile clinic that's happening tomorrow over at the clubhouse. People weren't aware that it was, so we actually had somebody call for an appointment as well. And also, I think Redwoods Rural does a van service for appointments. So we've tried to get information out as well. You might be wondering about where we got the name Stone Soup. You may be familiar with the children's tale. It's also a book you could borrow from the library. So basically, it's just a hungry boy shows up at an old woman's home, knocks on the door with a special rock, and convinces her that she, with this special rock, can make a delicious soup. And she has a garden that she doesn't use all of it, and he convinces her one by one that perhaps adding a carrot would even make it more special. And maybe an onion and a bit of meat. And of course, by the time they're done, they're sitting at a table together, enjoying the soup. And the lesson is that there may be a perceived scarcity, but in actuality, when we combine what we do have, we really are living in abundance instead. So I thank you for your time and considering how we can continue building resilience together. And I'm happy to answer any questions about what we're doing.
Thank you.
Question. Is 1 or 2 times a month enough?
Well, right now, but if we had more volunteer support, like it's enough maybe for the 3 people that are involved right now. We have, we could do it once a week. I mean, certainly we could do it more often, for sure. But right now, we're doing it once a month. And then we've just added a second distribution with the help of a business. And we're looking at maybe working with other businesses. I don't know if you know, but if you donate 3 or more items, you can get a 10% discount at the restaurant. So it helps the restaurant and it helps this project. We could probably, to answer your question specifically, we could probably get those donations and give them out, and it would help people. Because we're giving out enough food to at least help people get by for a period of time. Right? But yes, to answer your question, yes. We could do it more.
But for clarification, right now, what you're asking for is 1 to 2 times a month.
1 or 2 times. Probably we would always stick with the second Tuesday because that's when we get our allotment from Food for People. And we get fresh produce, beautiful fresh produce from them, and sometimes dairy. We've been supplementing with donations that we get by buying eggs and cheese and whatnot. So of course that all goes out that same day. It would be great if we could add like another day with a little bit later in the afternoon time where more people would be able to come. And so maybe, at the end of the month as well. So that would be our second distribution.
Okay, that would be the second one. And then, for clarification, is there gonna be any food prep down there? Any food prep?
No,
So you won't be needing the use of the kitchen upstairs?
no, we won't be using it.
And so right now, what you're looking at is 2 to 3 volunteers that are specifically, they do volunteer in the library, but they will be the main ones, your go-tos for the
Right.
distribution. It's not all of the librarians going back there. I mean,
No.
you have like a handful of regular library volunteers, and then these ones, but the ones for the food distribution, you only have like 2 or 3. Is that
Right,
correct?
so currently, we're a separate, right, volunteer-run project, right? It's kind of the brainchild of Julie Horn, if you know Julie, and Holly Lemberg, a new resident who joined us as well. So there's a door, that door that Chris showed in the presentation. Honestly, that was cut because we requested access to the back there for library storage or for actually sort of a training room and when we had ideas. So there's that door which is locked and it would be a key. And what I imagine is there's only one person who's responsible for that particular, either distribution more than likely. So I would hold the key, I guess, or we would work that kind of thing out because I would be taking donations that we get that people are dropping off at the library and then moving them out of the library and into the storage room. And yes, so only the people who are volunteering specifically for Stone Soup would be in that room. And then people who are receiving food would be one at a time, just coming up to that doorway one at a time on distribution day.
But not entering that space.
Not entering into that space.
So I know we've had questions about that, the usability of that and safety of that room. Nick, could you speak? I'm curious from the safety standpoint. I know there's major issues we have there, but could we safely do just for store? I mean, essentially it's being used as storage for food storage, non-perishables.
Yeah, I would just recommend staff meet with the library crew and get an actual plan and an agreement that we can follow. It's going to take a little bit of time. It's got to get cleared out. It's not a storage room. It never was a storage room. The storage room is in the garage in the back. It was an RID meeting room for a while. The project never got finished. We'd have to do some modifications to that. The biggest issue is actual escape routes and safety zones. The signs in there aren't up to code. There's no fire system. There's sprinklers, but there's nothing that lets us know if there's a fire. We call it a dump system where it's just temporary smoke alarms. I think it's a great plan. I think it's a great idea. We just got to put a little bit of staff time into making it work and making it safe.
Would it be, go ahead, Tasha. Oh, I was just wondering if maybe it would be easier if we could bring the bags out to the front and then that would be kind of more of a non-issue, the whole hallway, or is that something you're trying to avoid? I mean,
that was sort of proposed, right? It is something that's proposed. And in a lot of kind of food banks, there's hundreds of people, like they're coming up, and so you have a prepackaged, right?
Yeah.
But what we found is that we're small, and people have different dietary needs. They have different needs. They're only wanting to take what they can use. And so prepackaging. Now we have prepackaged things that we get from Food for People, and that's a bad. But then we would just have the different kinds of cans sorted out and non-perishables, and then ask the person. And right now it's a public space. It's during library hours, and again, there would be a librarian in the library at the time. so that if there were multiple people wanting to come in, hopefully they'd maybe come in and get the books and DVDs and whatnot, right, while they're waiting, right?
Okay.
Yeah.
I think it's a really good idea. And it does go along with it. Like right now, we are having kind of a food emergency, scarcity issue with a lot of our lower income families here in the Cove. But I do think that we would need some kind of written agreement with the volunteers, and definitely meeting with staff and making sure from a safety standpoint that everything is good.
Yeah, for sure.
So maybe we can bring it back for an action, as an action.
Absolutely, absolutely.
That's would be my recommendation.
Everybody else agree?
Yeah, I agree.
Yeah.
Mhm.
I want to commend you. Thank you. Our community needs it.
Yeah, thank you, Cindy.
Thanks
We'll
to the
bring it
whole
back next
community,
month for an
right,
action item.
for what they do with it. Yeah,
Approval.
thank you.
And we'll have the agreement. Oh, public comment. Any other public comment?
There is one hand raised online. I'll go ahead and call on Colleen. Would you like to make a comment?
Oh, jeez.
Everyone's beginning to do it today.
Hello,
Yes.
you guys, you can hear me? My question, maybe I missed the answer, but was this food program going to be a long term, or is this just something temporary during the winter months?
I can respond that it would be temporary until the space needed to be changed. There are tentative plans to change that space, community clubhouse, so that would be temporary.
I'm having a hard time. You're going in and out, but I guess you've answered it. So
Temporary
thank you.
until any potential future remodeling.
Yeah, sure, of course.
Okay, thank you.
Thanks for the question, Colleen. I want to be clear, you know, upfront and transparent, that our intention would be to create a permanent program, not program, but the ability to help, because the need for food isn't going to go away for a certain segment of the population. So I don't want it to appear as if we're just trying to do this for a few months or just the winter months. Food is needed year round. And what's temporary, which is what we understand, the temporary nature of the space itself. And if we should not be able to use that space, hopefully we would be able to find some other space at the community center, because we really do feel strongly that it's a community service and in a community center, community evacuation center, for instance, right? So like having that kind of extra food or that set up would probably be useful in an emergency as well. So I just wanted to be transparent that we aren't looking at this as a temporary thing to do, but we do understand the space is temporary, and we certainly work with Rick on that. If we had to, we'd find another space somewhere, I guess. Thanks.
Thank you.
You know, I always thought that the church would be an ideal space. They have plenty of room, they have facilities, they have a kitchen, they have everything. And I've seen a lot of churches and communities providing the same services. So it's just my opinion. They'd have more space than you would have even with the storage and the ability to do that. And they have a bank of volunteers to assist as well. It's just a thought.
Well, we did approach church. That was
Okay.
months ago.
Okay.
Yeah, we started, this was just something that Julie had come to me with way back in March or May. And we started up in July by working with Food for People, but we did approach the church on it. And it just wasn't something that was something that they could figure it out. And so after that, we decided that we should just continue, right? Not do something. And now we feel pretty good about having this as an added service in a way with our library, because it's a place where people can come together and it feels kind of neutral, is one way I would put it.
Thank you.
I like the concept. I like the concept of the library. And I think they go good and hold hands together. So I like your approach. I hope that we can keep it there forever, and I hope we can expand it, but reality also comes into play.
Right. We're aware of that. Thanks very much.
All right, any other comments, public comment? We got Jack over here rolling up already. He beat you to it, Mark.
Really good. That's right.
All right, good morning, Jack Hargrave. Okay, the risk of sounding unpopular. Let me first say, I completely commend what you're doing. The food scarcity is real. I myself relied on food banks for at least a couple of years when I was establishing myself. Food for People in Arcata, I went to theirs. I can say I've never been to a government building for any of that. It has always been churches or anything like that. My main thing is I question if this is the appropriate location. This is the one building, we were just talking about reserves and income. This is the one building that we have that we're trying to rent and do other things. We've already there were already issues in the past with the bank going with people utilizing the community center for bathing and sleeping and such as that. And just the conflicts that had arisen between the children's program and other programs that were going. So I'm not against a food bank or food distribution at all. I think it is a very valuable thing. I know residents in our community personally who utilize it. And I know my wife has helped several years doing food banks and everything. So it's not against that kind of thing. I just really question whether our community center, where we are trying to promote so many other things, is the right location for that. I agree with Mike. I personally think that it would be the church out of RID's hands, since the church is their own entity. But yeah, I do question whether this is the proper location for it.
Thank you, Jack.
Thank you.
Laura?
I actually think it's a great location. My only concern, just because I'm in that storage, is the vermin issue. So I would say if you're going to, there is a lot of mice in there that have eaten through all of our storage. I don't know where they end, if they're inside that back storage area. The unused rooms rather than the storage area. So I'm just not sure how far it goes. So my only feedback would be to get some tubs. Make sure like everything that is non-perishable, that is like in a bag that can be ripped open, will be placed into tubs in there. I think I understand your concern, Jeff, too, and I'm not. My whole thing is, yeah, we do want that space to make money, but also the amount of money it's going to take to rent out that space is pretty astronomical down there in the community center. There's not ventilation, there's not a fire system, so that would take quite a big budget to bring that up to speed to even rent out. So I think this is a great way to utilize that space until we can come up with this one.
Thank you. Go ahead. Yes, ma'am.
Hi, my name is Carol Van Sant, and I just want to support the efforts that Stone's Pantry is making. And thanking you for considering using this storage space, because I think it actually, a community center wants to serve all parts of our community. And it's there, it's available, and I think it's a great idea. I'm in full support. Thank you.
Thank you.
Yeah, I don't want to get into the weeds on how this is a different setup as CASA was operating. So, and we definitely appreciate the work that CASA did when they occupied that space. This isn't occupying that same space or the size of it. It's pretty much storage and very limited use, honestly. And again, no members of the public are going in, just free shopping. Nobody's doing any food prep in the bathrooms, which was happening before. So I think they have looked at this and refined it down to a pretty minimal usage for what it is needed, for what's needed.
Anybody else? Questions, comments? No? All right, that being said, we're gonna move on. Board member staff reports. I got nothing. Next.
I guess I'll go next. Just for the month of October, because that's what we're dealing with right now, is just getting ready for just dealing with the Parks and Rec committee and meeting with our subcommittees is what I did. And then the next month you'll find out what we did for November.
Coming
Good
soon.
job.
I finished my ethics training. That was nice. And yeah, just talking to the community and hearing about the events that are coming up for the Christmas season, which I'm very excited about. And that's all.
Oh, I did get my training done last month.
Oh.
To the end of next year.
Yeah.
I'm good. Yeah.
They did a webinar in the Brown Act, conflict of interest and board liability. It was quite enlightening. Also, talking to the community, we'd really like to start doing something and would scarf about 4th of July. We'd like to really get you involved too, Nick. Have some ideas so that we can kind of steer our mental focus away from fireworks and maybe put it more into a carnival type atmosphere. You know, so we're in the initial stages of it. I think one of the fun ones would be hose a fireman, you know, and set up a booth rather than a dunk booth. But we'll start with Nick. That's all I got.
Anybody else? Work? No? Okay. Operational status report, Chris.
Yep, I can start with the general manager activities for October. I worked with staff on posting 3 job openings: general laborer, accounting administrator, and water wastewater operator. In fact, we have interviews scheduled next week for the general laborer position. The 2 other positions will require reassessment to entice more qualified applicants, so those are ongoing. Conducted the on-site bid walk for the sports court construction project and then opened bids later in the month. And we'll talk about that in a little bit. Ben McMahon Construction is the apparent low bidder. Staff and consultant engineer Mike Bruno will work with Ben to refine the bid and schedule the project pending board approval. Work with staff on satisfying multiple requests for information for RFIs for the Cal Poly Humboldt engineering students as they work on their capstone projects. Also attended multiple online meetings with them to answer questions. They plan on completing their projects in December, one on a community center microgrid, one on replacing the water treatment plant, one on each on replacing the reclaimed water system and the biosolids dewatering systems at the wastewater treatment plant. So these are free feasibility studies, kind of to help us with potential any future grant applications even. Attended more meetings with Catalyst, Jacobs, and Moonshot missions engineers to continue work on the preliminary engineering reports and seismic analyses of the water treatment plant and the 4 water tanks, West, Dick, John, and Omar. Worked on satisfying RFIs for them so they can complete required documents, also for potential future grant funding applications. Attended an online check-in meeting with the district cybersecurity management company to review the district software, Cisco Umbrella, and Meraki Firewall. License renewals for this software are not due until 2027 and 2028 respectively. We'll probably be reviewing that when the time comes. Worked on the electric department strategic plan. Attended various multiple meetings with staff, board, and community members. Assisted staff and Shelter Cove Fire with the removal of a small non-injury plane crash on the runway. I'm currently working with the district's risk management insurance provider and the pilot's insurance to recoup costs of staff overtime and other associated costs in handling the plane. Attended the annual airport inspection by Caltrans Division of Aeronautics. Sent them a response letter to their report, which highlighted the need for repainting the markings and to top a large eucalyptus tree, or it might even be 2, within the runway approach surface on the Mario's Marina property. So I'm working with the owners of that property about topping those trees. Worked on researching other health insurance providers, including working with staff on completing RFIs to determine actual costs. The goal is to reduce rising health insurance costs. So we talked about that earlier. That'll be a big subject in the next few months. Received the initial lease proposal by Verizon for their use of space on the district's communications tower, plus some land space on Kelly Road. And I'm working with legal counsel and others to refine this proposal, negotiation on that. Worked on creating and revising district policies. So that's the conclusion of my activities for October. Any questions?
I got a question. Yeah. If you're working with the owner of Mario's topping those trees, are we going to do that at our cost, or are they going to pay for that?
Well, I guess the assumption was the airport inspector said we did it in the past, and it would be our cost. All it would be is labor.
Yeah, I understand that. Okay.
Labor and I guess time to, or fuel or energy to grind up the trimmings, I guess.
No, that's our responsibility.
Huh.
I can
Right.
reach out to the.
I kind of,
Yeah, okay.
I do feel like it's a private business. I know for safety, I can understand that, but I feel like there should be some, that they should be paying for staff time. And we're using our equipment, we're using, and it's their responsibility, I would think. So using public employees on private property seems a little odd to me without compensation.
Chris, are you by chance pursuing any additional funds for renovation of that clubhouse? How's that going?
Not at the moment. No.
Should we be?
Yeah.
Could you please?
Mm-hmm.
I would just request that the owners of Mario's kind of clean up the trash and stuff that's been out there for months. I don't know. I don't want to pile anything more on you, but it would be nice to see them do like a dump run and kind of, it's just like a bad look for the area. It just looks so run down and it hasn't really changed much. So that'd be my own thing. If you could just mention that, pass it along.
Mention it.
Yeah.
We'll do it.
To date, I've had basically one phone call and one email correspondence with the owners regarding the trees, so it's kind of stalled, but I will pick that up and mention labor costs.
Okay, thank you, Chris. Next. Not till the end, not till the end.
Oh, okay.
Yeah.
Chris's update.
They'll all be done and then we'll go to public comment.
All right, so, for the month of October, I also worked on the job postings and getting them on our website, to North Coast Journal and the boards, to the CWEA website. I compiled applications and resumes for the hiring team. I also created a new form to assist in tracking assets. The form was for asset disposal, and it's intended to ease reporting for audits. We called in Emerald Technologies to assess our Wi-Fi speeds here, and that resulted in some better coverage in the fire garage. Let's see. Our Acela access was again having issues through the Humboldt planning and building department. We are part of the referrals process, and so we receive a notification when a building permit is up, and we should be able to access all that information on their website. However, we're not able to, and they were unable to fix it. So every time a referral comes in, I have to request a set of plans for us to review. I also spent time working on the health insurance research with Chris. And I also attended a 3-day board secretary clerk conference in Santa Rosa that's put on by CSBA. I had intended to put together a little bit of a presentation for you guys, but I didn't really get around to it. But I will kind of wing a little bit about what went on there. I attended a day early and received a certificate on mastering agendas and meeting minutes, and then also received a secretary for the first year track of attendance And some of the trainings that I was able to attend included staying in compliance, advanced training, or training in the California Public Records Act, best practices for taking and processing minutes, website compliance, and understanding board member and district liabilities. And so what I did learn is that we're doing a pretty good job on most of this stuff. The one first change that I made that was a little bit minor, but we need to change the fonts on our agenda because it's not an acceptable font for ADA compliance. So we corrected that, and that was kind of one of the small things that we had going wrong with at least that end.
Okay.
Yes.
Jessica, I have a question for you. What was your costume?
Well, I didn't end up dressing up. I took a poll and there was no people. And I didn't have time to go shopping.
Travis, you're up.
Hi, good morning, board, good morning, public. October was a month of telecommunications for the water and wastewater department. David Ashner, basically our technician consultant, called the SCADA master, arrived October 1st. And pretty much the whole month we were on it daily, trying to troubleshoot existing radio paths, get our Wi-Fi links like that, and move the master SCADA computer from the community center down over to the wastewater plant. That was accomplished. We have new Wi-Fi routes through 101, direct line of sites, and we're still working through a couple problems. This morning the system was not working good. Yesterday it wasn't. But definitely progressively going forward, and I'm doing cartwheels every morning when I go to the wastewater plant and can reset comms, do everything from a central location where it's supposed to be. So that's good. We've also got a lot of great ideas moving forward to get the wastewater and water online on SCADA so we can remotely access it. And then also get PLCs at sites so we can manually work on them too. Also not just have HOAs, which is off and on. That was a lot of extra work, but exciting and fun, learning about all different things in that world. We did a hookup up there on Burns Court. Anthony Garrett led the whole job. Him with the electrical crew took that on. That went very smoothly. Very proud of Anthony for taking on that role. And Wade, he, the guys on other responsibilities, wearing different hats. Got new tires on the wastewater truck for Dylan. Just tires look great now. Very knobby, looking good. Got good traction. Worked a little bit on some of the templates for the cross connection control with Chris. So thank you, Chris, for all that. Dealt with some issues in the community, personnel issues. Figured that out over at the Point Coffee House. So going forward, hopefully they can prepare that on their end. We did the data entry for the third quarter wastewater electronic self-monitoring for SMR. Submitted it today. Bob Cannon's completed the electrical panel upgrade and installed a new VFD at West Tank. That's working all great. Ramp up, ramp down, pumps. The big one was Matthew Herman came and inspected the wastewater plant. He's from the State Water Resource Control Board. He's pretty much the big enforcer, and nerve-wracking for us, but he commented, said our contact chamber was one of the cleanest he's seen in the state. Charlie Reed also head of him, same deal. So that was surprising to hear on our end for me, and made me feel proud that we're doing what we should be, and Seeing Waters are really in good hands. That one was a big one because a lot of other agencies got hit with a lot of big fines, like $60,000-$70,000 plus fines. Single one. So it's definitely a good one. We are right now trying to upgrade all of our meters so we can streamline our processes at the wastewater plant. And we ordered a WAS effluent meter. So that's on its way now. We'll be able to, by doing so, we'll be able to start calculating things and doing process controls. We had a broken hydraulic line. Guys were able to fix that in-house. Amazing what they can do mechanically and just stop all that. Cool thing, I researched the AI grant program. Grant pool is pretty good one from Jeff's. Got me on that going there, so that's exciting. Just started looking at that program. Then I reached out to Fort Bragg. John Smith is their head of the public works, and his consulting service that Fort Bragg uses seems to be very promising. And they just got a $11 million water plant, $17 million wastewater plant, and it was very minimal what they actually had to spend. So we had a huge connection and mentor with John, who's willing to help us 100%. So really excited to see where that goes, where the future leads with that. We also got reached out by Onika Technologies, and Frank and I were able to go down there last week and check that out. It's way powered desal. That's pretty exciting also. Just looking forward and ongoing.
Thank you. More questions? Thank you.
I just wanted to say that I appreciate your initiation, or, like how you're driving forward your department. And I really think that's awesome. And that really makes me happy for the future of RID, because I think we need more of that, just like going ahead and that young, good energy. So thank you. Very cool.
So I gotta ask her on, again, I have to agree with Kristen that you're doing a great job. I like the fact on the grant side. I'm glad that, I hope that works out. On the SCADA issue, are we done with the guy that's the consultant or whatever? Are we done with him, or are we ever gonna not hear about SCADA soon?
We are done with that part. So right now we got a bid for upgrading, getting basically all wastewater and water online. Right now, we're no wastewater or water is online in the actual treatment plants.
So it's the next phase is what you're telling me?
Yes, yes.
Thank you, by the way.
All right. We'll go to John.
All right, so last month, took 2 vehicles to town, one for service and one for oil leak repairs that were under warranty. We loaded materials, tools, and put the decals on the new line truck. Had a service call in Redwood for intermittent power, ended up getting meter jaws. So the customers can have to get those replaced. Assisted the water department in a leak on big tank system. To dig up and repair that. An unscheduled outage on the beach due to a little tiny tree branch on the line. Had a service call on Ridge Road for voltage issues. And then during the storm that we had last month, there was one outage from PG&E, 6.5 hours, and we used 288 gallons.
So John, I got a question for you on your old line truck. What are your plans? How soon is that gonna be moved along?
Right now, we're kind of waiting, I guess, to see if there's any issues with the new for backup. Already had one oil leak from the power steering, that one of the hoses was loose. A couple other like little minor things. So it's just kind of make sure it's good before we get rid of the old one.
Well, so, not knowing what the funds are, would it enhance your capabilities if you kept the old one too?
Yeah, I mean, it would be nice, especially if we did like mutual aid stuff with PG over the hill, and we had one to leave here and one to send over. Actually make
Well, that's actually a great idea. I hope you, well, he's trying to pursue that one, because that would give us justification to keep it up too.
Well, the other thing is too, is having places to put, like the winch line on it over time is gonna need replaced from sitting out in the weather and things like that, so it's things to think about. Because if it's outside, like that's why the old ones stayed so nice for so long, just like the trucks, if they're inside, they're not, out in the weather and all the time. So, especially here when you got the salt air and everything. But I mean, I don't know, I kind of talked to the auction guy. And yeah, we could get some money, 10 to 15, maybe 20. Just kind of depends though. Like right now, if we would have done it during COVID, we probably would have got 3 times more for it than now.
Well,
Because everything was such a backlog.
I'm gonna say, kind of like your idea more so on the mutual aid. I think that you could probably make more than that, than what you could get for the truck.
Yeah, and one of the big pressing things for that one, I mean, that's in the line item when they say this is what we want, this, 4-wheel drive, bucket truck, line truck, pickup trucks.
Well, I'm hearing, it sounds like it'd be more beneficial to keep it,
For now, yeah.
Yeah.
I mean, down the road,
we'll cross that bridge.
we also need to look at places to put stuff.
Sure. Anybody else? Board? Nick, you're up.
Awesome. Well, good morning. October was the end of fire season for us. Luckily, I sleep a lot better at night when the ground's wet and all the trees are dripping. So, we had a very successful summer this year in Shelter Cove. It's the first time in my career that we didn't have a reported vegetation fire. So, whatever reason that was, obviously we didn't have the super dry conditions that we saw during the drought for the last 5 years. A lot of that is the community being proactive, the education that we're doing through our grants, wildfire being a hot topic. Unfortunately, what happened in LA kind of spurs people when we see these large damaging fires. Usually the fire season afterwards isn't as bad, right? People are 90% of the ignitions that we get on our wildland fires, believe it or not. And so that's great, but our work still continues. We're managing around $9 million in grants funding right now, and hopefully closing out $2.9 million in grants in the next 2 months, which is great for me, and I can put more time into other projects. So we've got the Cal Fire Prevention Grant, which is actually a 9-year grant cycle. However, we're going to get all the work done in 2 years. And so after that will just be maintenance and reporting. That was the highlanding that went all the way to Redway and all the way around Whale Gulch and Whitethorn. So we'll talk a little bit about more and expanding our influence on some of our projects with our ability to do that. The other one that's less known in our community is we're building 10 Type 6 trucks right now. They just delivered 4 of them. That was a 2-year program that was funded through California OES through Senator McGuire's office. So that was a project that we started to help enhance our mutual aid capacity in our area. So 5 of these engines are going to other smaller, less fortunate departments in southern Humboldt. 5 of them are going to Mendocino, and we've got funding for 4 more through the county's fund. So what we're trying to do and what we're trying to accomplish is a more robust emergency response within southern Humboldt. So God forbid Shelter Cove's ever on fire, these guys can get out here and provide those assistance. And 10 Type 6s with crews that we've also been training is really trying to benefit that. So even though this year was a great season, we didn't see any smoke, luckily we didn't see any fire, that potential is always out there, and we don't know what it's going to look like next year. So we're trying to build up that capacity. The evacuation route clearance is doing the same thing, is basically preparing for the worst, hoping for the best, and keeping our evacuation routes open so we can get people out of the area. And more importantly for Shelter Cove is we can get resources in. So 2009, we had a bunch of, or 2008 on the Paradise fire for a lot of folks that were still here when they had the fire within the King Range. A lot of fire resources turned down assignments in Shelter Cove. They said it was too unsafe to drive their apparatus on our roads due to the overgrowth. So that started probably a 10-year program that we're just now finishing up of clearing all the roads in Shelter Cove. So it's hard to remember that you can drive down the road and not scrape your windshield or your mirrors on tan oaks and other stuff. So we've completed that project, and now we're trying to maintain it. So we've been working with the county. Our ID staff does not get enough credit for the work they've done. I know John and his crew has been cutting a lot of trees. To have the wind event that we had a couple weeks ago and to only have one tree down is a miracle compared to what we've dealt with. We've had 18 911 calls in an hour before during those same wind events. And I believe Cooskie Ridge got over 90-mile-an-hour wind gusts. So in Shelter Cove, we definitely saw some 70 and 80-mile-an-hour gusts. And for that not to affect our local infrastructure is a big deal. And I think we take it for granted where we're at in the world and on the Lost Coast and having a lack of power interruptions or water interruptions or fire rescue interruptions. If you guys dial 911 or turn on your TV or turn on your faucet, usually something that you expect is going to happen. And these guys are doing a great job of that. We're doing our recruitment right now. We have 4 new recruits. That's really exciting. We just had another person come into one of our drills asking for an application. We're always recruiting, but this is the time of year that we can get people into the academies. If you miss it and you miss February, you gotta wait a whole year to get into our training academy. So if you guys know anybody that could be interested, we'll take all types. And if the fire department's not for you, the search team's always looking for people as well. So call-wise, October was pretty busy for us. 16 is I would say average. The big thing was we had 6 of those in a 24-hour period. So it can go from nothing to a lot. Our duty officers take care of that. We do have somebody paid 24/7 to respond in an engine. We're one of the few departments that has paid staffing in Southern Humboldt. We're actually the only one that has a paid engine in Southern Humboldt, and take a lot of pride in our 6 to 7 minute response time. So there's that engine's rolling within 5 minutes, and we get to a lot of houses within 7. So if we do have a delayed response time, it's because we're usually on something else, and we have to prioritize what we respond to. One of the other notable subjects is I just put up 4 of our rescuers for a life-saving award for the plane crash that happened, working through Supervisor Bushnell's office for that. That was an amazing rescue in a bad situation, and the crew did great on that. There was very low visibility from our IC who took command. The fact that I had 2 of our senior rescue swimmers and a newer rescue swimmer out of the county, and we were still able to put a crew of qualified operators and rescue swimmers together. So that shows our capacity we've been building the last 5 years to be able to do that on both fronts. So guys did great. There is a GoFundMe for the victim that they rescued. I just want to clarify, we are not charging him at all from RID or Shelter Cove Fire. All the expenses, which are a lot that he's incurring, comes from the medical life flight and the medical side. So we have no say in that. We don't bill or ever charge any of our patients or victims. We are tax and grant funded. So the only time we can bill is gross negligence. And that has only happened 2 times in my career here. So it's really rare. All of our projects are still in different phases. Like I said, we did close out the CAL FIRE evacuation route as far as the actual contractor work goes, but we're going to have another 8 years of maintenance on that. And we'll be maintaining it indefinitely. Hopefully just through the county's normal mowing is how that grant was written. So no additional staff time besides my normal time. Other than that, it's basically training and fleet maintenance, trying to get everything, keep it all running. We've got 14 pieces of apparatus in the fire department, from jet skis to boats. Anybody that's owned a boat knows how much of a pain it is to keep that thing going and the batteries working, much less a rescue boat that has to go out at any time. And then times that by 4. So we always have maintenance going on, and we take a lot of pride in the equipment that this community's funded and given us. And every one of those equipment was used last year for fires, rescues, and other things. So we're really excited to see what next year brings and the new members that we have and our grants. So we're keeping, there's always a financial issue within the RID, but it's the whole state right now. And grants are a solution, but they're not the end state, and they do provide a lot more work. But this district is very successful in getting the grants that we need. And I did get great feedback on my report. Tesha came in and gave me some feedback on it. We're making some revisions, especially within the fire department budgeting. So you guys have a clearer version because it is a little bit different than the normal RIU budget. So I appreciate that. Anytime I'm on Monday, Tuesday, Wednesday, 24-hour shifts. Battalion Chief Hargrave's on Thursday, Friday, Saturday, and then we have a swing shift on Sunday. So anytime our doors are open or you see a little red truck out front, please swing by, and that goes for any members of the community. This is your guys' fire department. We just foster it and maintain it.
Thank you.
Yeah, absolutely.
Okay, go to, anyone have any comments on the board? Questions, comments, and then we'll go to public comment. No?
Nick, can you tell us what the minimum need is for the fire department?
Minimum page? It's 18. Yeah. Yeah, we'll take 17-year-olds, and then once they turn 18, we'll put them through it.
All right, public comment on anything that we discussed. Wendy? Careful.
Wendy. Chris, I saw the email that you sent to the woman I had previously been communicating with at, was it Sacramento States? Slight background is when I was on the Park and Rec Committee, I was trying to do some research on how we could get some interns here. I just find it unbelievable that Park and Rec has a whole column on the budget, but there's no one in charge of Park and Rec, and I feel like there's so much opportunity for income in the Park and Rec department. So I've done some research. If your major is Park and Recs, you are required to have 1,000 hours of community service before you graduate, and they are interns, and it's cheap labor, full commitment, income potential. And so I don't know if she replied to your email, but I hope that your communications lead to something awesome, because I just think having someone in charge would lead to, like I said, income on that spreadsheet. T-Box on 5 looks so good. Thank you so much. I can't believe how great the golf course looks. So that's allowing us to have a golf tournament at the JIPO on April 18th. So I guess I've been told to communicate with you that there's a golf tournament on April 18th. So any greens maintenance or sort of anything we could do ahead of time, because we're going to really expose this awesome looking golf course to Southern Humboldt. Like, I want a lot of people to come from other areas, because Bembo doesn't look real good right now. Our course is so much better than Bembo. And so I want to get a lot of people to this golf ball. 9 times 4, 36 people to this golf tournament. But I think it'll be great and a great opportunity. So April 18th should be the date on that. That's all I got. Sorry?
What time does it start?
We'll probably congregate at 9, tee off at 10, shotgun, barbecue at the JIPO afterwards. There's going to be a nonprofit. Every hole is going to have a nonprofit sponsor, and so it's going to be a fundraiser for them. It's going to be fun.
Thank you, Wendy.
All right, thanks.
Anybody else? Before we move on? Nobody? Okay, let's move on.
Did she reply to your email?
Yeah, I can talk to you.
All right, thanks.
Okay, we're moving on. Action item number 1. Now, before we get started, there's a couple of matters we need to address. One of which was brought to my attention that there was a conflict issue with one of the directors with discussing the sports court project. And I disagreed with that person, but we forwarded to our legal counsel, Ryan Plotz, and he did respond rather quickly, and there is a conflict with Director Tristan Sanders. So unfortunately, I will have to ask Tristan to recuse herself and vacate the room for any discussion or action item voting on anything with the sports court. Chris, is there anything you want to add or anything I forgot on?
So, yeah, I concur that does go along with what Ryan Fox said. Yeah, so for any director with real property, financial interest within 500 feet of a public works project, as a conflict of interest is how it's defined. And I spoke with Kristen about it yesterday, so she's aware.
Okay.
But yeah, that sums it up.
Okay.
And also, I wanted to add, Wes, who's not here today, he emailed this morning. He said, while the board is under no obligation to do so, I would appreciate it if we could table the agenda item regarding the bids until I'm feeling better. Just wanted to pass that words on from Wes.
So Tristan, if you can leave the room for a little while, go hang out with Maureen or something.
Okay. Yeah. I was told I didn't have to recuse myself, that I could actually request in writing the material and the facts of what would actually benefit the real estate property that is within. I'm not going to make a big deal about it because I think this is unfair. It feels like another way to undermine a decision by the board, which I think is actually like not good for community building. It's nefarious. It's in someone's self-interest. And I'm just going to say I don't have to recuse myself. I was told that I could ask for in writing the facts of the case, but I am going to leave and thank you.
Thank you. Okay, moving on with the sports court construction project contract award. We don't have a full board. The refusal has nothing to do with it. Mr. Bonheim is not here. And with him requesting a tabling, I agree on a table on it, but if we want to just move it to a discussion item so we can all have something to say about this matter, I would have to request a motion from another board member to move it to a discussion item. With that being said, do you guys want to table it? Do you want to do a discussion? Do you want to discuss it? What do you want to do?
I'm gonna say that when I wrote a letter a year ago about having a discussion item table, Mike, you and I weren't here. And so an approval was made. And I would always prefer a full board, especially when we have such a controversial issue.
I agree.
So I would move to table this item for a later date.
Motion's not required to table an item, just to move it to discussion so we can further discuss it.
So basically, no discussion will take place today.
Correct. I'll leave it up to you two.
So you would want a motion to table.
You would want a motion to table?
Yeah.
Never done that before, but okay.
Just today.
So a motion to table or a motion to discuss?
I would recommend this discussion.
It might be helpful to move the discussion just for the interest of the community. I can present what I presented. This, as this has been pointed out, the board has approved this project. Right now, it's just sort of a approving of the resolution to award the low bid.
That being said, one of the persons that approved the project, and there was a quorum of 3, is now determined that she has a conflict of interest. Therefore, I don't believe that would be the issue now. It has not been approved.
But if you use your microphone, get a little closer, please. We can't hear. I'm sorry, we can't hear you.
So I guess I think we have, so this is really difficult because I know there's a lot of there's new information that's come to light, and then we have a lot of questions. But at this time, I think I would like to discuss it as a whole board. So I would make a motion to table
And need a second.
I second it. I think I already made the motion, but I'll go with that one. Doesn't matter. Because I made a motion to table it. And so Tasha could easily second my motion, or I will second her motion, so whatever.
Move to discussion, because there's a whole process here I have to adhere to apparently.
it. I'll second it.
The motion to table?
Yeah.
Okay. Motion to table. Roll call.
Tristan Sanders, accused. Jessica Shane,
Aye.
Mike Solari,
Aye.
Beth Hildreth. Wes Bonheim, absent.
Motion carries. Table to the next one. Action item number 2. Bear with me. Oh, we go to public comment? We go to public comment, Jess?
Not a
Not at this table? No? No. Good table.
No,
Come back.
don't tell her.
Can someone go get her? While I try to find the next action items, I don't have tabs.
Her vehicle is gone.
Public comment or?
Oh, shit, she left.
Table, you have to get it.
We'll be dealing with it next month is what it looks like.
Do that?
Yeah, I think you drove away.
This will be dealt with in the data time opportunity session.
Yeah, the motion to table will be, just means this whole item will be moved to next month and,
That's why we have a full board.
yeah. And then all discussions and questions can all be addressed next month. When we have a full board, hopefully have a full board, less Sanders.
I just was so upset.
Okay, where was I? Yeah, let's take a 5-minute recess, everybody.
You want to call?
What's that?
I think we're supposed to, motion to do a whole thing. Are we?
I got it.
Yeah, I mean, I just want to know what, like, I mean, we have to work together at some point and figure out, like, solutions and not, I mean, otherwise it's just becoming dysfunctional.
We have to name the students.
Yeah, same thing.
Yeah, okay, and then there are, okay, so that is for like RID, but like me with my own rights is from what I was told. Sphere of influence, maybe.
Ready? We're back on recess. We'll resume 10:40. See at 48, I think. All right, moving on. Action item number 2. Consider new district policy 3109, vehicle use policy, first reading. Chris?
I have a different action. This might be out of order.
My book is all out of
Whoops,
whack.
if they're not wrong.
Okay. All right, I'll go, just go to number 2 on the agenda.
Yeah.
Okay. All right, yeah, so staff recommend new district policy number 3109, vehicle use policy. Yeah, by the way, the agenda and the packets may be a little off. So this was listed as number 2 in the agenda, but in the packets it's listed as number 3.
That's why I gotta find it.
Sorry about that.
So
I read it.
the purpose of this policy is to define the responsibilities and rules for the use of district vehicles and privately owned vehicles used for district business. This policy also incorporates existing district policies 3103 and 3106, which I've also included in the board packet. I've incorporated those policies into this one, and staff recommend eliminating those 2 policies since they are included in this one. Attached are new district policies and the old policies, and I also sent this off to the IDW for any kind of feedback, and I did not receive any yet. But the recommendation is to review the new district policy, vehicle use policy, and suggest revisions to bring back next month for second reading, and also to eliminate policies numbers 3103 and 3106.
John, did you read it? John, did you read it?
Yeah.
You good with it?
Yeah.
Okay.
The only question I had was, can't remember what section it is, but, oh, here it is. It says employees are required to be in the full program. When I was reading, I thought it was, all employees would be in the full program. It's just, yeah, just commercial drivers, so that was the only thing that
And no camel hats? No camel hats on the vehicle?
That, you can't ride motorcycles, that's kind of, what's up with that?
That's all I have. Anybody else?
If he's good, I'm good.
Yeah, he's the steward, so.
Yeah,
That's why I go
exactly.
straight to
I'm gonna
the
trust
because
his
can't do nothing
judgment.
without their approval.
I can clarify, you're talking about 3109.1.5.2. I can clarify that for commercial driver's license. Modify that for a second.
All right, anybody else on the board? Questions, comments? Yeah? Nope.
No? All right. Move to public comment then. Public comment? No? Well, let's get a motion rolling then. Remove this to second reading, I believe. Yes.
We have to make that a
Do we have to motion that? Just one motion for reading.
You don't want to be that one.
Come on up, Arlen. We'll make time for you. You're our best customer.
And legally we have to, yeah.
The non-employees, non-volunteer personnel can be permitted in district vehicle in emergency or with prior approval from the superintendent or general manager. So when we do trash pickup, is that something that we, the superintendent, okay, or?
That'd be the fire chief discussion for like all of our CERT members are fire department, like they're district volunteers, and there will be fire department exemptions in there. Like we carpool with other fire department members to meetings and other stuff, and we have firefighters in our apparatus from other departments that aren't exclusively RID employees, and so there will be a fire department. We have our own guidelines and policies we're working on getting implemented as a appendix to the RID policy.
Okay.
So for clarity, when this comes back in its final review, we'll have that
We'll say something to the extent
with,
of,
in regards. Okay.
fire department policy. That's the cleanest way to do it, other than just having a blanket fire department exemption. But as Arlen brings up, it's not always emergency standard, process, but those guys are covered under a separate mutual aid agreement. And so we work in a different.
So they would have to be served.
Well, CERT would be for non-fire agencies, right? So I can't just pick up a random person that's not covered under a fire department MOU agreement. CERT are all RID volunteers already.
Right, but if someone who's not served wants to volunteer for a bullet to pick up trash on the side of the road, it would be okay.
Not for this policy.
Not for that policy.
For the fire department policy?
Most of the time there, we have multiple cars, and like I said, most of those guys are CERT members, so there's a handful of them that aren't.
Yeah.
Gives us more push to get everybody in the community.
And we could also do, I apologize for interrupting. So, and we could also do, when we know that these bigger, like trash pickup and stuff, you could coordinate with the general manager who could then also give permission at that point.
The fire chief is that level.
Okay.
Gotta be justified, which I think that does.
All right, we'll get a motion.
Is the motion to bring it back for a second reading? I will make a motion to bring back district policy number 3109, vehicle use policy, with revisions for next month's meeting for second reading. And eliminate policies 3103 and 3106.
I'll second that motion.
Roll call.
Mike Solari,
Aye.
Glenn Sondheim, absent. Jeff Hildreth,
Aye.
Kristen Sanders. Aye. Tricia Shane. Aye.
Motion carries. Move on, action item number 3. Consider update policy 3080, public facilities use and rental, second reading. Chris?
Yes. Okay, after the first reading, I did work with Wes on revising this a little further. I added in a table to try to hopefully make the Shelter Cove residents, non-residents fee charges more clear for use of the community clubhouse. And also work with staff to determine average monthly electricity costs for the past 3 years. Just to go back, major updates in the revised policy include the addition of the fire hall meeting room, salmon room at the clubhouse, and the playground. The district's risk management insurance provider, GSRMA, has also provided updated insurance language. And then attached is the policy with track changes. And there's also an associated rental agreement form, which staff will work on internally, that's closely tied to this policy. At last month's meeting, the board requested information on the average monthly utility costs for the clubhouse. Staff compiled the last 3 years of data for propane, electricity, sewer, and water charges, basing the costs as if the building was a commercial customer. As you know, the RID do not charge ourselves for electricity, sewer, and water. The following table displays those results. As the table shows, if the community clubhouse was a commercial customer, the average monthly utility cost for the past 3 years amount to around $700 to $800 per month. There's also the cost to clean the community clubhouse by a part-time custodian, 4 hours a week. This amounts to an average of $400 to $500 per month. Adding this cost to utilities equals a total of $1,100 to $1,300 per month to maintain the community clubhouse, not including building maintenance. So the following table shows the average, or shows the actual revenue generated from renting out the community clubhouse over the last 10 years. As the table shows, the average yearly rental income generated by the community clubhouse is just over $1,500, which equates to just over 1 month in utilities and cleaning costs. Just some reference. So the recommendation is to review changes and suggest any further revisions if applicable to this policy, and we can bring it back next month for third and final readings, or we can just approve it as is. I'll leave it up to you. I do think we probably need to review the charges, rental charges further.
I think for private event weddings for people that aren't residents, I think we really need to check up the prices for that. This is a destination. People would love to get married on the Lost Coast, and that's probably the best venue. But that's just my opinion. I'd like to hear from the rest of the board.
I agree with Mike. Yeah, I think I had, what was it, 150 was like the starting.
Or now it was double what?
Oh, 300 was the starting.
Yeah, it was double.
Yeah, I mean,
For
for a venue, yeah.
For non-residents.
Mm-hmm. But I thought, yeah, everything else looked pretty fair.
In a regular venue, you would rent anywhere else, it's going to be in the thousands, especially in such a beautiful place. But that's my opinion. Jeff, you got anything?
I have to agree with both you and Tristan. I think that, again, back to a venue, you could have your rehearsal dinner there. You could get married on the coach. You could do so much with that venue. So I definitely think it should be higher.
Yeah, I mean, we've got caterers that can function there. We've got lots of options. It's a great venue.
And it is beautiful outside, you know, like especially, yeah.
I would just like to ask staff, Jessica, I wasn't able to touch base with you on this. Did you have any other recommendations that were not included? I know we had talked about having an option to be able to have someone on site to help. I don't know exactly how that would work, but did you have any other?
Well, that was just something I thought was kind of neat, offering that McKinleyville, Community Services District does. They have, I forget what their building is that they rent out, but they offer an option for somebody to hire, not an event coordinator, but like a facility coordinator, I guess. So they're on hand to make sure that your facility isn't getting degraded, for one. And then also to, help you set up your chairs and your tables, and either for questions and assistance. So if they don't know how to run the ice machine, you can help them run the ice machine. I don't know that that's extremely feasible, but I thought that was a neat thing. And if we ever do upgrade the clubhouse, I think it would be nice, because there are lots of people who hang things and make small damages all over the place. They're small, but yeah. So I mean, I don't know if that's feasible. I just thought it was neat. But one thing I would like to mention is that at some point I would like to see any fees that the RD is charging for anything go onto an overall fee schedule for the entire district instead of being within each policy. And then annually, when we discuss the budget, we can look at the fees at the same time, and then any fees can be increased through the budget review process annually. So I'm not really sure what that means for this policy right now, since there are lots of fees listed in it. But I think that would be a better way to do it, and it's kind of what other cities and districts do. Yeah, and just make a reference to a fee
Yeah,
schedule.
you never know what the economy's going to do year to year, so I mean, you just never know. Maybe you can make adjustments. So if it's
Yeah, and I think that would be
just,
easier than bringing back a policy all the time.
I like it.
Well, I have to agree too, just because like when Tristan and I were doing the whole budget thing, it would have been easier to address, know what we're actually getting.
Yeah. It is a loss. It's a lost cause for us. I mean, we're losing money on it, but it's for the community, and we are, resort improvement district.
Yeah, but again, we still have it as an emergency shelter, so I think that it's a bigger picture.
Shelters. We have this one,
The church.
the church, I mean, down there.
They're all over the place.
And I think I might have asked this at the last meeting, I can't remember. Nick, were you, and you felt comfortable having this space rented out?
Yeah, absolutely. Yeah, it's the same as the community center though. Like we have to have plans for maintenance and use. If we're gonna increase our use in this, again, we have to make sure that one, it's safe for what we're renting it out for. I wouldn't recommend renting it out for a toddler birthday here right now, right? We got to clean some stuff up, but there are some things that we would have to work with staff to be like, presentations. It's great. We have a better AV system than the clubhouse does. But yeah, I totally agree with Jessica on and pulling the fee schedule out and just allowing it to be what buildings we rent or what the options are for rent, not how much they are. That's what a lot of the conversation usually is with our building.
Okay. So we could do that and just do it for a third reading with that adjustments made for next month? You do that?
We'll probably want to wait till the budget process to do like a fee schedule. That'll be part of the budget, right?
Yeah. But then we'd be passing this policy and then turning around and redoing it.
Doing it again, yeah.
Would it require, so if we didn't wait for the budget process, then we would just, it would be a budget change, right? So
the alternative is, I could remove all of the fees from this policy and then also create a separate fee schedule and have both present. So that is feasible also at the next meeting or two.
Well, let's talk about staff time though. Would it be better to wait till the budget? Because it's in 6 months anyway, we're going to be doing the budget process again. So I'm going to throw it back to Jessica.
Yeah, I think I'd be inclined to just go ahead and develop a fee schedule right now, pull all the fee references out of this policy. It can be referenced, and then when it does come time to the budget, it can just be added to that budget too. So that way it's already separated and it's easy to flow into the budget. I think that would work out fine and meet all transparency.
Okay, so you'd be pulling out the fees from this policy at the next reading?
Yeah, and just reference the fee schedule.
Okay.
And right now it can just be the community center fee schedule, and then there can be, or public facilities fee schedule, I guess, is probably better since we can include any public facilities on that. And then that would just be a part of the table of the budget.
So we could add the golf, we could add the airstrip, things like that?
Correct.
Okay.
Those would be all public facilities.
Okay.
The exemption.
Well, no.
All right, so bring it back for third reading?
Yep.
Okay, no more board comments on this topic. We'll go to public comment. Public comment on this matter? Yes, ma'am.
Just a couple, to Jessica's point about maintenance of the room, because just the use of it, well, I would just like to, ask that we look at for securing the router that's in there, the Wi-Fi router, because very often during an event, there's that one plug and then it gets unplugged and the library volunteers will come in and not have access, not have the ability to use to look up information, but also for safety reasons. And is there a name for the playroom?
Yeah.
The salmon room?
Oh, okay.
That's the salmon room.
That is the salmon.
Yeah.
So that is part on the schedule as well, right? Okay. Because I would like to see that we might consider additional uses of the room if that's possible. I know it's for first 5. I don't know what the agreement is there. Toddler birthdays, for instance. I could see other, maybe it's a source of income, but I'm not sure what the agreement is with first 5.
And I think that that's what this covers, is that we are opening that up to more use.
Yeah. Also, Cynthia, don't you have a computer for public use down there?
Yes, we do.
And so Wi-Fi is needed for that as well?
Yes.
Yeah.
Thank you. Good point.
And Jessica, does that help that same router as far as the kiosk at the golf course?
No.
Would it
No,
help you?
there's a separate connection over by the kiosk that services it directly. 101 that we put that in as a free. They did it for free. Right? We just have a monthly service charge of $10 for that connection.
Steve.
Which which is cheaper than the phone, which is $40.
Okay, so we need a motion to do it for third reading next month?
Do we need to, with that motion, doesn't need to include us pulling off the fee schedule? You could just say the month. I'll make a motion to bring back policy 3080 for a third reading with modifications.
Second,
I'll second it.
roll call.
Doug Hildreth. Mike Solori.
Aye.
Beth Baumheim, absent. Kristen Shane.
Aye.
Kristen Sanders.
Aye.
Oops, aye. Motion carries. Moving on, action item number 5, approve supplemental budget request of an additional $30,000 for Eel River Camp Cruise. Who's gonna do this one?
About 4.
I'm sorry, we're at number 4. Approve revision to policy number 2370, accounting administrator confidential. Sorry.
Okay, so staff have identified the need to make changes to district policy 2370, which is the job description for accounting administrator confidential. The board updated this policy just last year with a required higher level of certification, education experience, but this is proving to be overly prohibitive to the hiring process. This position has been advertised for over a month now without receiving a single qualified application based on the current job description. According to district policy 1010, adoption amendment of policies, before adopting or amending any policy, the board shall review the policy twice. However, this policy also states that a job description amendments are excluded from the 2-meeting requirement, and amendments may be adopted at the meeting presented. It is staff's goal to revise the job posting advertisement for the accounting administrator position upon the board's approval of this amendment. I know I did catch one of the things that needed to be changed under licenses and certificates. It says in the job description, it says BS or associate degree in accounting or equivalent, and I'd like to add what is preferred after that. So basically what we're doing here is removing the requirement for the accounting degree for this job description. Questions?
I mean, I think you can be a bookkeeper without a degree for sure. But I do think it does give you, I have a degree in accounting, so I know plenty of people that can do, yeah, it's true. Yeah. But yeah, I do think a bookkeeper can do it, but yeah, I think there is like a different level of understanding that you probably do get from having a degree. So I don't know. Maybe we should leave it open for a little bit longer.
There's also the alternative of, we posted the job locally and in the Northwest Journal newspaper. But there's other venues. I guess CSDA has a job posting component to their website. We could try flying it with a wider net and seeing if we garner any further applications. That's an option too.
It did say more of equivalent, so, and the degree is a desirable option, but Chris would like to have his options a little bit looser.
I totally get it.
Right candidate, but they're not quite there.
That's what I mean, is I think like a good bookkeeper, you can learn, it's a trade you can for sure learn. Yeah.
I think when we added this, we did have someone on the board at the time that was very proficient in accounting and dealing with large, different type, both private and public. And they were pretty adamant that the way our system is working and then what we're upgrading is well above what someone with just a high school diploma would have. What I think, if anything, the 1-year experience working with QuickBooks software or equivalent, or Bachelor of Science is what it has in there in accounting, with 3 years of hands-on experience working in the accounting department. That right there, maybe the 3 years of experience hands-on experience we could scratch. But I do think that they need some level of higher education than just high school diploma, which if we just say preferred, we may end up back in the same boat that we are, which is like nobody caught the way our audits were working, that we've had to go back and redo our audits. And so, yes, bookkeeping, just general bookkeeping, is something that can be learned, but I think it would behoove the district to have someone who has more education than just learning on the fly.
Well, obviously, that would be a prime choice, someone with an education, but someone with, say, 10, 15 years, working in that field would have the experience and exposure to these programs and know how to do these things. So to give Chris the option to make the right decision, just broaden that scope and let him make those decisions without a requirement.
Yeah.
Is why the changes.
Yeah, and I do understand that, and that's why, like I said, taking maybe the hands-on 3-year experience out, but still having the knowledge and the certificate of accounting review, I think should stay in there. And then also, and I did meet with Chris about this, about broadening the range of of where we have it posted, just to see if that brings anybody else in that might want to move to the area.
I'm gonna agree more with Tristan. I think that we broaden and leave it open longer and then hit like the CSDA website. And I think that we could, at least before we make the change, because ideally it's perfect how it is. Obviously, Chris, you need more leeway because we're not getting the applicants. But maybe it's because we've only, focused the advertisements in a local venue where I think that the CSDA website's probably the best one. And if we haven't used that, then we definitely should.
So I voted on this to make the change to what it is now. And the reason I did that was because we were told, oh, there's all kinds of people out there that have these degrees and that it shouldn't be a problem. And of course, we're paying accordingly. But he's trying and we haven't gotten any qualified applicants. So we need to make some kind of changes and move forward. So.
I mean, I'm going to agree with Mike. I think a degree shouldn't really be required if you have the work experience. And also maybe offering some part of it remote, like making that as an option. I don't know if that is for the RID, but I know a lot of bookkeepers can do stuff from that might like appeal to more people. But I do agree, like, I don't think the degree is like necessary, because actually, like when you are getting your accounting degree, you are not doing any bookkeeping at all. Like, so I think actually just finding someone who has experience and has an eye and has seen a lot of stuff is going to benefit us way more. And so, yeah, and lowering the requirements, I think, is casting a wider pool.
I just like the part. My suggestion was to eliminate the requirement for the degree and use it as something that is desirable for that position, and then add or equivalent with experience.
Exactly. Totally agree.
I like preferred.
This is going to be in Jessica's shop. So she's in a weird situation being the secretary of the board and keeping notes and everything, but this is going to come from recommendation from staff. And I know they've already discussed at length what the reasons were, and I think we should listen to Jessica since she's going to be dealing with whatever employee we hired for hopefully the long-term future. I was part of that original issue because we were having issues with some of our audits back in the day. With Jan Evans, former board member, got us in that direction. I looked at the job flying ad that was out there, and it was very intimidating, I think, for a lot of our folks to look at. Just right off the bat, the requirements were very high requirements. And I think if you just read it purely on the way it was flown, I think we could have put a lot of people off. And then because then the price wasn't matching the requirements, in my opinion, what we were going to pay. And so that's going to be something that we've got to look at the whole picture. And I think staff has discussed the next steps on that. So
we could add, formal education, we'll pay for it, sending them to, a class a week up at the university or something and help move their career forward as well, make that a little bit more desirable as well.
I think Jessica's got a good idea for the next system. The system as it was now is what Jan was looking at. And our system is going to evolve, and the efficiency within the system, the computer programs are, I don't want to say a lot smarter than some of our folks that may come in, but they're getting pretty dang efficient at taking a lot of our data and doing what we need to do with it and presenting it in a package that an auditor can look at cleanly. So.
Yeah, you're right. I mean, these two are going to be the ones that have to deal with these situations, so I would go with their recommendation personally.
You're also considering alternative ideas like maybe part-time, or like you said, remote. That could be so
Enjoyable workplace. Yeah, exactly.
So, if I may, we're facing the challenge of retirement, impending retirement coming soon. And, we haven't had any qualified applicants. This is a tough position to be in and to understand what would be the best choice. But I do feel getting somebody in here that we can train with Tony is the best option, as opposed to not having a qualified applicant. I do feel that the potential with the new program that we are getting, that it is maybe possible that that position could survive on 32 hours. And I think one thing that held some people back from applying that I heard is that it is a full-time job. And nobody wants a full-time job, I guess. I'm not sure why. But, so I don't know if that would work or not. That was really hard to predict because we don't have a new system yet. But I did want to add one other small modification to this job description. And it's under the environmental factors and conditions / physical requirements. It was brought up to me by staff in the administrative department. They do not like the phrasing that says stoop, kneel, crouch, and crawl. They would like to remove the word crawl because they don't, that position requires crawling, and I agree. So we can take crawling. I would like to also strike and crawl on this as well.
In the event of an earthquake.
No other administrative staff, but position is required to crawl. So that's just a small point. But the other thing is that job descriptions do require we can do this with one reading potentially. And so we were putting this on the agenda to modify it, to refly it with lesser requirements so that we can get somebody in here for training before somebody retires. And so I think ultimately that was the biggest goal with this today. Yeah, it's tough. I mean, I would love to have somebody that has a degree or more experience for sure. That will help. Because my accounting experience is semi-limited. I mean, I have some, but I don't know the ultimate questions sometimes when they come up, and I have to refer them to the CPA, which is hard to get an answer from. They take months to reply. So, yeah, I don't know, but I guess I just want to see somebody get hired to get trained.
So time sensitive.
Yeah, I think the sooner the better.
Yeah, I agree.
We could still fly it, expand that flying it too. Doesn't change how we fly it.
Yeah.
And I mean, is it on Indeed and like just those basic? Oh, it should be on Indeed for sure then. I think that's where most normal people just look.
So the suggestion is to put it as preferred rather than required with the license and the certificate. And then striking the 3 years of hands-on experience.
And expand the advertisement base.
Yeah, I do tend to think this one almost a little bit too lenient with just 1 year experience on QuickBooks required. I would like to see some level of experience in the job if they don't have.
Yeah,
Sure.
I agree.
I agree.
I agree.
So where is that? Where would we be?
But I guess to make it wide open, I guess you could put preferred as well.
You're gonna weed out during the hiring process as well, and the score process that we give during the interviews. Somebody that is more qualified is gonna score better than somebody that's not.
Yeah.
So this is just giving them the tools they need to find a candidate that fits their needs. they're the ones who are gonna have to pick up the slack if they hire the wrong person.
Yeah. Quiet as is with those other sites like Indeed or CSDA.
But then you'd have to bring it back.
With a specific timeline, like a month. And then if we get nothing, then come back, I guess, with this. What do you think?
I mean, since you brought it up, we might as well change it to what you want. And then, I mean, you'll be able to see the person's resume, you know? Yeah, I would just go with what you brought and then see how it goes. I mean, other than, yeah, bringing it back a month later.
Because you're gonna weed them out.
Yeah.
You're good? Everybody good?
Mm-hmm.
Public comment. Oh, sorry. Public comment, Harlan?
Okay.
I knew it.
I think that the more it's advertised, the more people come in, the lower the standards, more people come in, get the pool big as possible, take the biggest fish.
Thank you, Harlan. All right, with that being said, can I get a motion?
Oh, there is one comment online. Raised hand.
Not Colleen again, is it?
It is Colleen. Colleen, would you like to make a comment?
I'm kind of having a hard time hearing, but this position is a perm full-time position.
Yes.
Okay, and it sounds like you guys kind of have some doubts about what the requirements are needed for the department and if they're going to be met. So my thought is, I don't know if it's already out there in the public, but can it be changed to a limited term appointment that can be made into a permanent position in case that person's not working out, even though you thought maybe, you know, based on what you guys are throwing out there for them, you know, what the requirements could be, should be, or are going to be. So if it's a limited term, then at least they don't have to be a permanent fix in the department where you'd have to, you know, fire somebody or let them go. If they're meeting the requirements by the time the limited term appointment's up, then you can make it a full-time appointment. That's just my thoughts.
Thank you. So, what she's saying is this is something the state of California does for a limited term appointment. So I was hired in a limited term appointment. And you have to meet certain criteria before it becomes permanent full time. So getting rid of bad eggs is a lot easier, is the point she's saying that.
Probationary.
But don't you have a probationary period?
Probationary appointment.
Oh, prolong it, where probationary have a date.
Okay. All right.
What are we gonna do?
I'll make a motion to approve the revised policy of 2370 with changes. Do I have to spell out this one?
Yes.
With removing the requirement for the like degree in accounting and put that as preferred. And removing crawl from
Yes.
the requirements.
Okay. Does that work for you?
I guess maybe you want to say it was one reading. Did you say that?
Approval.
In one reading.
Yes. Oh, and approval on one reading.
Second.
I'll second it.
Roll call.
Wes Online, absent. Tristan Sanders.
Yeah, all right. Here.
Aye. Mike Solari.
Aye.
Chuck Hildreth.
Aye.
Motion carries. We now hire. Good luck.
Thanks.
All right, we're gonna move on to action item number 5 on my sheet. approve supplemental budget request of an additional $30,000 for Eel River Camp Cruise. Chris?
Yeah, I know this one kind of sting a little bit.
It stings.
Yeah. So fiscal year 2025-26 now 1 quarter complete, and yet budget item number 50731, Eel River Camp Cruise, is already over budget. It doesn't not quite reflect yet in the quarter budget you saw earlier in the packet, because the way they invoice is a little odd. They bunch them all up, but we know that we have that much. We have $12,744 already to pay for their services, and the original budget was only $10,000. So we're already almost over $3,000 over budget. So there are a couple of reasons to explain this under budgeting. First, the true cost of this line item was not accurately reflected during the budgeting process earlier this year. At the time of creating the budget, all submitted invoices by CAL FIRE had not yet been paid. Typically, we have a running invoice that is only paid sporadically and is finally settled at the end of the fiscal year. Let me go ahead and share my screen. Okay, so during the budgeting process, based on payments made at the time, and this was in March or April, it was assumed that only about $10,000 would be spent on this line item, as reflected in the following table. Plus, as the table shows, this budget item was new, only just created last fiscal year. Previously, these funds had come out of line item 50102, also displayed there, vegetation and greenbelt management, which encompasses other tasks such as electric line clearance. Thus, there was no clear history to gauge future spending on Eel River Camp Cruise, and I'll provide a caveat, without going to Tony and looking at actual invoices that we had from those previous years. So originally, $25,000 was budgeted in 24-25 for Eel River Camp Cruise, and last fiscal year we spent $21,736. So we were good with the budget last year at $25,000, and I probably should have looked at that a little closer when we were doing our budget. So I'll take responsibility.
And the cost did double.
Yeah, and this is the next part of it.
Right.
So another reason for the under budgeting of this line item is the recent increase in costs for the Eel River Camp Cruise, as the chart there shows. Last fiscal year, the charge was $223.76 per crew per day. This year, it's $411.11, which is an 84% increase. Because of these factors, staff proposed adding an additional $30,000 to the Eel River Camp Cruise line item of the budget to cover the initial under budgeting and rising costs for the service provided. This will bring the total budget to $40,000, which roughly equals last year's spending plus an additional 84%. Following on the screen is a list of remaining tasks this fiscal year and estimated crew days required to complete them. And you can see we have about 51 plus days with an estimated cost of about $21,000 plus. While this list is comprehensive, there are still more tasks for which we use the Eel River Camp Cruise. Thus, their costs can be highly variable depending on what is happening in the district and their availability. One other point to keep in mind is that they are more available to the district in the fall, winter, and spring than in the summer. As a reference, for fiscal year 23-24, the district used the Eel River Camp Cruise for 166 days. Last fiscal year, the district used the cruise for 95.5 days. So far this fiscal year, we're up to 42 days. So they were here today, so that number is higher. Assuming we need 51 more days of the cruise service this fiscal year, the total would add up to 93 days, which when multiplied by 411.11 per crew per day equals $38,233.23. This information is displayed in this chart on the screen. So financial impact, the estimated additional cost of the budget of $30,000 to cover under budgeting in line item 50731, Eel River Camp Cruise. Recommendation to approve the supplemental budget request amount of $30,000 to add to the existing $10,000 budget. As Nick mentioned earlier, in addition to the electric crew, this crew is very vital to keeping our infrastructure running smoothly without overtime costs, for instance, with power outages and whatnot. So they do a very good job cleaning around the electric lines, as you can see in some of their tasks. So, yeah. Any questions?
Yeah, I got a question. So they're all doing fuels production as well. Is there any way we can pass some costs off to the fire department?
This is not the fuel reduction. That's all covered by the grant. So we used to do $20,000 a year for the inmate crews and fuel reduction,
Right.
chipper days, all that stuff. So
Right.
we got these grants, we paid all that on the grant. So we saved
Right.
it.
All right. All right. Anybody else?
Well, I think, it's the cheapest way we can have labor. I think that they definitely show what they do. I mean, again, I think it's a cost benefit to our community. I think that goes back to what you said, it's gonna sting a little bit, but I don't know that we have a choice.
Right. As long as we remember to prioritize their projects and stuff that, you know, that we absolutely have to have done. You know, not saying don't do these projects. I'm just saying make it projects that benefit the community the most. And try to stay within a certain number of trips. Don't just use them because they're available.
This is more on the operational side, but are you guys working out a maintenance schedule with them between the fire department and the staff? Or is it still kind of they show up and then we just use them, we just kind of at the last minute figure out where we're putting them? Or how are you guys operating on that?
We don't really know when they're available. They call us the morning of to let us know. I know that John has a list of places he takes them. I can work with staff to have more of a prioritized list so we can make sure we're getting our priorities taken care of.
Yeah.
I think that would be really beneficial. I think I've seen that process needing to happen for a while.
Like for instance, on this list of tasks, power line transformer clearing would be more important than airport golf weeding, for instance.
Hey. Yeah, they definitely provide a major service, and I'm not against using them for the infrastructure. I just want the community and you know people to be aware that by using them, you know, we save money by using their labor, but we're also, you know, it doesn't reflect what it would truly cost to maintain our infrastructure if we didn't have them.
And I did hear that maybe they were talking about raising it to minimum wage. I just read that somewhere, that California is considering it. So
CDC has raised all their minimum wages for the prisoners now. Yeah, I still get the emails.
Well, that's the thing, Chris, that it goes back to what we were talking about before. It's like, I'd love to know what you're gonna do, not what you've done. You know, and this is an example of the crews, what you're gonna do and what you're gonna do with them, back to prioritizing.
Yeah.
But on a strategic plan, it's easier to evaluate your performance as well. Not you, general.
Anybody else? No? Kristen? I see the smoke coming out of yours.
I know, sorry. He just said like a review performance, and I actually had just read about board members being able to review each other's performances, and I would like to bring that up somewhere down the road. Not just having Chris being the only one reviewed, also ourselves by each other.
I wasn't talking about Chris.
I would love to hear a review from the rest of the board members on my performance. I would love to hear one.
We gotta tie it back into the inmate crews somehow.
Yeah, exactly.
We'll add more reviews for them.
Yeah.
Cindy, just for clarification, and obviously we're going to figure out where the funds come from, but I guess bringing clarity to that, I think you and I spoke yesterday a little bit, Chris. Like when we have these types of unbudgeted expenses, like, and we're operating at a loss, where's the money coming from for that additional?
General funds, reserves.
We all know the answer.
Yeah. Thank you.
I think, Nick, were you finished speaking?
Yeah, I mean, I was just gonna say, the process of these questions has already gotten further on the organization of using the crews with just Chris's numbers. Like just those straight up day numbers is something that we haven't had in the past to be able to say, now next year's budget, we can actually budget for them and give the community and the board a cost benefit. I think it's not outside the realm to say we save millions of dollars. with those guys with that. If you look at how much it costs for just one general labor, but that money is not free. Like we don't see the $1 million in our budget, back in our budget. Going through this next grant cycle with our USDA grant, we're going to be able to clear a lot of the easements already, properties, and that might get you 2 years of reduced inmates through labor. However, we can always find more projects, and that's what we see. And through being fiscally responsible and saying, hey, just because we freed up that extra, let's not go look for other projects. That will be a decision staff has to make to prioritize that as we get our budget gets tighter. Because they're very, very cheap, but it's not free and it does add up.
Right.
Well, I also have to add that, we always think of the fire side and the fuel clearance, but they did a heck of a great job clearing out the culverts and the roads on beach and all the way around. So don't just stop at the fuel. Let's talk about, we have a lot of rain as well.
And I'm trying to get that as much as I can billed to the county. There is some of those days that you see them that they're billed to the county, not to the RIG. Cool. And so it just depends how those are being worked.
Everybody's done. We can go to Arlen, who's ready.
I'm ready. Okay, so, it was great what it used to be, but still $400 is pretty much one person at a $51 an hour. So that's crazy. And then I want to also put out that the health insurance that you're paying your people here is $421,000. So and that just blows my mind so that's 2/3 of what everybody's income is. So to even eliminate that, you're saying that one person at the $400 at $50, we're having 10, 12, 15 people out there that aren't paying for that health insurance. So the health insurance on me is the biggest key on that you're not paying for that and you're getting quality work for the cheapest possible rate at all.
Yeah, I agree. It's just that number is a big one. All right, anybody else? Comments, questions? All right, let's get a motion rolling.
I gotta say one last comment though. I think the biggest one's this reserve. Again, I was shocked when I saw what our packet, the first 3 pages was like, wow. So now we have another line item that we're gonna be attacking the reserve. So I think we're still underfunded and I think that this is being proven.
I agree.
I'll make a motion to approve the supplemental budget request of $30,000 to add to the existing $10,000 budget in line item 5731 for the Eel River Camp Cruise.
Roll call.
Trustee Shane?
Aye.
Chuck Hilgrid?
Aye.
Susan Sanders?
Aye.
Ed Bonheim, absent. Mike Fleury?
Aye. Motion carries. Okay. Moving on, action item number 6 on my sheet, Southern Humboldt Fire Rescue JPA appointment of authorized signatories. Is this going to be Jim or just going to be Chris?
I'll take this one. Yeah, one of these days we're gonna have to give away like free written deals to the folks that stick around for the whole meeting, not tell anybody. Because this is actually, I would say personally, obviously I'm biased and put a lot of work into this project. This is going to be one of the most important things that has happened in Southern Humboldt in a long time. So this is talking about securing Southern Humboldt's emergency response into the future. And myself and a group of other chiefs and project managers have been working on this for realistically 2 years, legitimately with having a title, but we've been doing it for 5 years trying to figure out solutions. As much fun as dealing with boards and sitting in board meetings is, I do this with 17 other chiefs and 17 other boards, and we're trying to find a solution to get everybody working together. And we received some funding, as it says in the packet, to build this program out, but we have to have a fiscal agency to get the money. So we're pushing $10 million of grants and awards for this idea and building this out to be able to support all the other fire districts. And going back 3 years ago, the fire department's mission within the district is at a maintenance point where we got the apparatus we want, we're always training, but we got our equipment and our folks and trained, and we like where the level of the fire department is. As soon as you pass Paradise Ridge Road, you're in another department, another district with vastly different service of care, firefighters, equipment, everything. Then you go to Edinburgh Junction, you go into 2 more different districts. So between here and Redway, there's 8 different departments that have jurisdiction over our folks that leave Shelter Cove. Between here and Fortuna, you start pushing into the 14, 15 different districts. And again, vast different level of care. What our new expanded mission is the same level of care for our community members from Shelter Cove all the way to Fortuna. And this is the agreement that's going to form an entity that's going to be in charge of maintaining that. We are going to see the benefits from it, but the biggest benefit we're going to see is that higher level of care across all the departments in Southern Humboldt. It has the ability to help with the economy, with creating jobs in all the different districts, whether the districts are buying into it or not. Currently, all 16 departments have an opportunity to form this JPA. What a joint powers agreement is a tool given to us by California for districts. Basically, if there's a bunch of different districts like we see with the fire districts, this tool is to allow districts to come together and form a new fiscal entity without consolidation. So consolidation would be us, Whitethorn, and Bryceland saying, oh, we don't want any more boards. We're going to make one board, and that board's going to govern the fire department. We're not doing that. We are making a new agency with a new board, keeping everybody's boards to themselves. And this new agency will be able to get grants. It will be able to provide assistance for admin, all the stuff that Shelter Cove Fire gets through me that I've been helping out other departments with, will now have the opportunity to do that on their own. So it should free up some of my time and Chief Hargrave's time, but also bring up that level of care across the county. So right now there's no fiscal requirements of it. The time that I put in is in kind. We're able to use that as some of these grants as well. So the mutual aid help that I've been doing on the Type 6 trucks, all the organization, we've been able to use that on some of these grant funding to build it out already. We're partnering with Trees right now to be our fiscal sponsor because we don't have any accounts. There's no legitimate fiscal entity, and that's what the JPA will create. So it's 2 years worth of stuff. I know it's a big packet. I've had a long talk with Kesha about it. As it goes forward, things are going to happen and change. There will be no fiscal requirements without board approval. So if I have to change something on my budget, again, it goes to our board. The JPA will have the ability to get their own money that's separate from anything we do. They're not going to impose any fees. Everything has to get voted on. The only kind of thing that concerns our board is if any of our board members would like to go on the JPA board as a separate board, right? It's a whole different thing. Any of the districts are going to get a vote, and that process is in the package as well in the agreement. I wish I could say that it's going to affect Shelter Cove as much as it's going to affect some of the other departments, but we already have a well-funded, well-organized fire department. We're trying to build that for all the other departments. So we are going to see a lot of benefits of it, but it's going to be through our mutual aid, resiliency, and jobs within Southern Humboldt. So our strike team, for example, if we take out a Southern Humboldt strike team 14 days, it's over $600,000 for the economy. And so there's a lot of money to be made. It's outside of the fuel reduction grants. We're doing that right now because it's a low-hanging fruit and we're very successful at it. But there's a lot of other departments that need help. And if you guys drive through that, you might be in somebody's district and you don't know what level of care. If you have an accident or something happens and you call 911. So I know that's my vision. Our department has shared that vision, and now we're getting other departments on that. So to date, there's only 3 departments that have shown any disinterest in that. We're still working on 2 of them. Garberville Fire said no, they're not interested in it. But all the other 15 departments right now are in some various forms of it. 4 of them have already signed their resolutions. Miranda Fire was the big one. They just did it this week. Bryson Fire, Togaf Ridge Fire, Santa Creek Fire, they're all in. And those are districts. So the hard part is we have districts and companies. In Southern Humboldt, companies are nonprofits that aren't formal government agencies like us. Whale Gulch Fire Company, for example, they don't charge a tax. They're a volunteer fire company. They can't be an official member of the JPA, but we're creating a separate agreement that they can get all the same member benefits because they do all the same stuff we do. It's just a technicality through the JPA process that you can only be a district to be a part of that because it's a state tool. So there's a lot in there. Staff wholeheartedly supports this. We've been part of building it from the very beginning because it is going to help with a lot of the problems that we felt of being so isolated at Shelter Cove Fire. And the funding's already there. We have funding all the way up to the state level of wanting to support this to create jobs in both fire, but also wildfire resiliency and fuel reduction, and taking what we had done with Bryceland and Telegraph Ridge and expanding it to all the other districts. So I'm very excited about this, but again, I could talk for hours and hours about what it could potentially be in the next, 1, 3, and 5 years. It is, I personally believe it is one of the biggest things that happened in Southern Humboldt in a long time, with just what the potential of this different agency is.
Thank you for all your work on this, man. I think it's wonderful. It's going to give us more bang for our buck. We're going to have basically be a bigger voice with Sacramento, the state, the feds, everybody, with better grant possibilities. I think this is great. We're looking for a board member to be there for signing event. Is that someone that has to?
It might be here, we don't know yet. So, but you guys can discuss this, and multiple board members can be a part of the signing event.
Okay. All right. I like everything that's in it. I'm looking forward to it. I think this is going to be great. It's going to give some of our people better resources and make all of Southern Humboldt a little bit safer. I think it's a wonderful thing. Thank you. Anybody else?
I like the opportunity for the Southern Humboldt, but also the creation of jobs. I think that, I don't know how we cannot benefit. And by the way, I'm sad that we're not going to get more impact, but I'm so glad we don't have to have more impact. Thanks.
We will in the future.
Yeah. But no, I'm just saying, because of the job that you've done for our community is reflected in helping out other communities. So I think it's awesome. Thank you.
Yeah, from a district liability standpoint, we're covered in this, so I appreciate. Yeah, I appreciate that.
Okay.
And then, so once we sign this, then the next steps is, in the other districts, they're doing pretty much the same process they are doing the same process. And so then at that point, that JPA board will then be formed.
There's a whole process to how that goes down, and there's a vote. The way the vote goes is in there. Basically, the board will get one vote on each one of the members that they want for a 5-member board, and each fire chief will get a vote in the Chiefs Association. So we're trying to keep it as fair as possible between operation, field staff, and the board members as well to develop that. There's some folks rolling around. I would say we haven't even seen full 5 people that are interested in being on another board. But a lot of it is going to be operations. And one of the cool things about the funding that we got through California Redwood Rise, which is a job building and workforce development grant, we're in partnership with like 7 different agencies just in the North Coast. With a bunch of watershed people, MRC is going to be part of it. We got $100,000 to build it out. And we're trying to make a complete package for that board to approve with policies, bylaws, and everything. That's already in the works right now. So we're kind of putting the buggy in front of the horse on it, but we've had to because we've been working on it for so long.
Will it help us with our fire insurance?
That's the plan, yeah. And it's going to be, we're looking pretty good on our area of fire insurance. The biggest thing that I can't control is our topography, right? We're still going to have the topography, and I think the USDA grant combined with this and combined with everybody in the work and people getting out there. I know the legislation right now is actually putting some pressure on the insurance companies to release how they judge departments. And that's the biggest thing is I don't even see that. A lot of different insurance companies have their own way of judging it. I had a random person show up my house 2 months ago and say, oh, I'm here to take pictures of the house for the insurance company. So I don't know if I'm going to get dropped. So my wife took care of it when I was on the strike team. So being a fire chief doesn't get you any heads up. Yeah, I anticipate nothing bad is going to come for it, and we should see results. Shelter Cove, again, with our grants, we're doing the best we can to lower those costs. A lot of it is out of our hands on that side. We could potentially see quite a bit of help in that.
Anybody else? Questions, comments?
Yeah, I just think this is like a great example of community building and having vision and pushing forward and finding a solution. So good job. Yay. Yeah, I'm super excited about this. It's super cool.
7 years ago, when I started going to those meetings, that all the chiefs would get along and get this done, I would say absolutely not. Like, you think it's hard to get stuff through this board. Like, all those chiefs all have their own agendas, and then they have their own boards. And, we did this process right, and I'm really proud of the work that the crew's done. That we started with a needs assessment and interviewed every chief, all the boards, to see what the needs were, and then we found solutions. And this one kept rising to the top as the biggest solution. I've already gotten calls from other counties of being interested in how this process goes. Because there's a lot of rural areas that have a lot of different little fire districts that are getting beat out by a lot of large scale. Like when we did our USDA grant, we were competing with entire counties who had full paid staff going just to their fuel reduction grants. And so this, like, Mike said, is going to really put us up there with the narrative. Just for some numbers that aren't in that, Southern Humboldt has almost 300 firefighters from south of Weock. We have 75 apparatus and over 35 stations. Individually, even Shelter Cove doesn't compete when you start talking about fire grants. When you start talking about wildfire grants, we do because of our risk. And that's why we've been so successful. If I wanted to go get a fire truck right now, I'd be competing with Stockton and Redding and Santa Rosa, and they run 100,000 calls a year, right? We run 200 maybe. And so that narrative of everybody coming together, now we can actually submit grants with that entire narrative. And if actually everybody combines, right now we're working on Garberville. I don't think they're going to do it this round, but anybody can come in later with whatever stipulations the board say. And that's what I'm really hoping is people see the fruit product in there, because I think they're going to benefit just as much as anybody else from it. That narrative will make us not only competitive, but like realistic. We're going to be one of the biggest volunteer fire departments in the state with just the sheer numbers. And then we might need to cut some of that number and help, make it a little bit more efficient with how much money it costs to run. Our insurance is almost $27,000 for just 27 people. So almost 300 people like that, it starts to become not fiscally responsible. So really excited about the potential of it, but that narrative alone is going to change the game. And as I said, they just got $10 million under the JPA name. We don't have a bank account yet. So as soon as we get that established Trees Foundation, JPA will take on all that work for them, and we'll start to actually see some jobs and training and other stuff that right now the fire departments are sharing.
Yeah, power in numbers.
Absolutely.
So the question is, who wants to be there for the signing as a representative of the board?
Is that what we're doing now? We're having to do.
Plus the resolution.
Yeah, plus the resolution, yeah.
Is it a nonprofit?
It's a fiscal government agency, just like a district. So technically, yes, it's a nonprofit, but it's a government agency.
Anybody interested?
When is it? Sorry, I missed that part for the signing.
December
2025.
Yeah, that could change.
December 20th?
Yeah, they're talking about even hosting it out here. So I'll let you guys know. Right now, it only needs 2 departments to form the JPA, and they already have that. So the JPA is going to get formed. Our vision was always we want all the Southern Humboldt departments, and we're really close to that. Like I said, it's not realistic to get everybody right now. Eventually, we'll get that, but it's happening. So the date could change.
But that's a Friday, actually. I just thought in my head.
So, yeah.
Okay. I mean, I would love to be a part of it.
I have a question. I saw in the local media about, I think it was Petrolia, Honeydew, and Telegraph Bridge.
Yeah,
Something.
they're consolidating. So they're still going to be members of the JPA, but they'll be one department. So actually, that works out for the JPA because it's 2 less boards that we have to deal with or work with.
I'd be interested too.
Yeah. And like I said, anybody can be a part of that, and I can talk to Tanner, who's setting up the agreement right now, where we can add as many signatures as we want. But it is going to be historic. I know there's a lot of departments really excited about this and the potential that it comes with.
But as far as like for the Brown Act and all that, we should really just have 2.
You guys can, as far as I know, you guys can all attend events as long as there's no official district business being discussed.
Right.
If you guys vote for it, sign the resolution here, all you're doing is signing. Like I would still do either the fire chief and a board member, or just a board member, or just the fire chief. You guys have that, but all of you guys can attend the event.
It'd be like our seminars.
Yeah. We're going to talk about
It's a public event.
Yeah.
Okay. So who wants to be involved? Jeff? Tesha? You?
I'll probably come. I don't need to be a signer.
Okay. Tristan, you want to sign?
Sure.
Okay. Well, let's get a motion rolling if we're all in agreement on this.
Public comment?
Okay, sure. Public comment. You're on public.
Well, I have a question. I have to be honest, Nick, I didn't read through all of this.
It's only like 90
apologize.
pages.
I know, I'm sorry. But I wanted to know, it says on here that there is no financial impact, but I wanted to verify that if there's gonna be any change of any sort of funds to our district based on this JPA now.
With the resolution, that's why it says none right now. In the future, one of the examples, right, that I tell people is cost sharing. So So every fire department in Southern Humboldt all pays for vehicle or apparatus maintenance, right? And so what we're looking at potentially is hiring our own mechanics, because all of us put that money towards housing area mechanics or whatever it is. Why not hire one of our firefighters, put them through the training, and then the JPA would bill the district as like a contractor to provide that service, right? Same thing with duty officer programs or other things that the district can contract with them for. So I'm not saying right now there's no fees, there's no fiscal, any kind of liability. In the future, they could decide to say, hey, on a money sharing or saving aspect, then yeah, there could be fees, but everything would have to be approved, just like I have to go through the budget. So.
Well, I think that if it saves us money, like on the mechanic, you're gonna pay it anyway.
Yeah, we're already budgeted for it, and there's other things we're looking at that are JPAs, right? Like we're looking at an insurance JPA. It's just a tool that the state allows us to use. This would just be a fire JPA.
All right, looks good. Any public comment? With that being said, can we get a motion rolling?
I will make a motion to authorize Shelter Cove Fire Chief and, wait, this is one. Are we doing one or two signatures? Okay, so I make a motion to authorize the Shelter Cove Fire Chief and 2 designated members of the RID board, Tristan Sanders, Jeff Hildreth, to sign the Southern Humboldt Fire Rescue Joint Powers Agreement at the December 2025 signing event, thereby formally joining as a founding member agency of the Southern Humboldt Fire Rescue Joint Powers Alliance.
Mike Solori?
Aye.
Tasha Duchesne?
Aye.
Buzz Bonham, absent. Jeff Hilbert?
Aye.
Kristen Sanders?
Aye.
Motion carried. Thank you.
Thanks for all your hard work, Nick. You
All right, we got
drive
one
it.
more. This is our final action item. Approved donation of a 2003 Kawasaki ATV to the Bryceland Volunteer Fire Department.
I'll make this one simple. We don't want this quad. Bryson does. It's been out of service for a long time. Jack can attest to it. One of the most dangerous missions that we do is our beach rescues out in the King Range, and that quad was never reliable after 10 years. We pushed it to its max, and I was actually on it when it broke down. And I was like, we're getting rid of this thing. And luckily, I didn't have to walk back 9 miles in the rain. So, yeah, it was close. Bryson thinks they have some folks that can't afford their own, and they think they can put a new motor in or fix the motor they have. It's one of our options to dispose of rid vehicles, is we can donate it to a bike district that's going to benefit our district. So if they get it fixed and they can use it for prescribed burns or rescues on the King Range to assist us, it does behoove the district to allow that. The other option we have is to auction it off, which would give more staff time to deal with, and it's not worth out the money. You get low cost if we, a brand new one's only $8,000. So this one's it's definitely got our use out of it. I think it's been rolled a few times off a trailer before my time. It's time to go. So, yeah. Well, I don't think either one of us were around when that thing first got beat up.
This is actually a cheaper option for us, really, just to get rid of some.
And they'll pick it up. It's a good deal. Don't
And they'll pick it up. Nice.
They can't see the scrapes on the skid plate.
Yeah.
Just put a cover over it, you'll be all right.
And it was already replaced, so we did that a couple years ago.
I like it. Any other board comments, questions? No, you all for it? Everybody's excited about this? Okay, public comment? No? No? Let's get a motion. Motions is just easier, right?
I just don't want to be a motion hog. I would like to make a motion for the board to approve this request and authorize the district staff to prepare a simple agreement outlining the donation terms and transfer the ownership and the vehicle as is conditioned.
I'll second that motion.
Roll call.
Jeff Hilbert?
Aye.
Kristen Sanders?
Aye.
Mike Solori?
Aye.
Buzz Bonham, absent. Tasha Duchesne?
Aye.
Motion carried. We're not done yet. Where's our papers? Is there any unfinished business that the board is not addressed? I think I see some approaching. Mr. Reed.
I just want to say thank you, Chris, for the handling of the issue between me and Wes. Without you, it would have been bad. And everything that you did was great. It was helpful for both of us, I think, and thank you for that. Appreciate it.
Thank you.
Yeah, one more thing, Mike. Oh, so as I stated, I deal with fire chiefs from 17 different districts and boards. I think I've been coming to these board meetings since I was 19 years old. That was my shift date on a Thursday, right? So I have quite a bit of experience in this board specifically. I think this might be one of the most well-rounded boards that we've ever had sitting at the same time. I have total faith in this board of getting projects done to benefit the community. And I think using our strengths on this board is super important. As we go forward with different projects, I know the fire department has a lot of large scale projects that make the pickleball court look very small, or sports court, right? Always get told say that. We're also, these two guys are gonna have multi-million-dollar projects going forward. The request from myself or staff is use us for what you guys pay us for. Anytime you guys wanna come bug me, if we can do as much as we can to get these projects figured out before the Thursday meetings, I know I would appreciate going forward, and our success as a fire department runs through this board and staff. So if there's anything we can do as staff, you guys pay us to do it, please utilize us for what you pay us to do, and don't feel that it all has to come on you guys, because I've seen that be a very thankless seat. I know I have members on my fire department that are really happy not being up there. So I thank you guys for doing what you guys are doing. And this district has a lot of good potential right now. And I'm happy to see every different individual board member and their skills and abilities to come together to make these projects work in a fiscally responsible way. But please utilize us, because we're here. Obviously, our time is valuable, but a lot of these projects is the future of the district. So I just wanted to say that, because I know there's a lot of stuff going on right now, and I think we need to really reel it back in and look at what we're focusing on going forward. Because I have a lot of projects in mind too, and I want to see us get past the $200,000.
Thank you. That being said, adjourn this meeting to 12:04.